About half of the average that they have been scoring against the Pride have been players in the post, unable to stop them. Now, Alfreya Tolbert averaging 14 and 8. So a challenge today against the Cougars, but what has been the problem all year for the Pride? Why haven't they been able to stop post players?
I mean, I don't really know if we know that answer. We don't play for the team. I mean, we can watch them and we can analyze them, but we're not the players. We're not there during, we can't listen to what the coaches are telling them during practice. We don't really know exactly if they're trying to implement some sort of game plan. I know Krista Kilburn-Stavesky has said on multiple occasions, I know specifically against Towson, she mentioned to us during coaches for the pregame interview, she was saying that against the Tigers, they were going to try to employ different defensive schemes. She was going to try to mix it up man to man. She was going to try to go zone, try to maybe exploit one specific score. I don't know if that maybe has something to do with it. If they're so focused on the leading score for whatever opponent they're playing, if that maybe could be a cause of the issue. I don't really know if we have a definitive answer to that question mark. I think a lot of it goes back to Eloetta Faroka, Anama Onyuku, those two players consistently down underneath the basket. If sometimes there's some miscommunications down there, that could have something to do with the problem. I don't know if we have an actual answer for the question though.
It really is a mystery though, Chris, because you see Anama Onyuku, you see Elo, you see the talent that's there,
and it's been up and down. Like sometimes it's not really a problem, and then other times it is a problem. So
I don't know if it's a part of the system. I don't know. You mentioned scouting. Do they find a weakness that's there? I don't know. I can't see it, but you do have the talent there. For Anma being a senior, she is the leader. She can average nearly a double-double a game if she wants to. Alo, you see how many leaps and bounds, how much she's growing. But it's for Alo, I think over a period of time, it's a matter of getting better at that. And I don't think in the future this will be as much of a problem. But as of right now, it's really a mystery.
Pre-game edition of The Locker Room here on WRHU. Hofstra will take on the College of Charleston for the first time ever in just a few minutes at the Mack Sports Complex. Now, we'll continue to discuss College of Charleston for just a couple of minutes. Jill Brown, all-time program leader for the Cougars in assists with 496 on her career. She doesn't score that much, only averaging almost 4 points per game, but her main thing is assists. Now, what's the defensive game plan against a distributor like that?
I think maybe you flip it on its head and maybe try to push the offensive envelope a little bit more. Maybe if your offense, they like to do a little bit of a run and gun at times. Crystal Luciano maybe sprint down the court, maybe try to go to the hole, dish it out to the wings. If you consistently try to put the offensive pressure on them, maybe it puts the Cougars on their heels, and then maybe they need to start pushing things around, and then maybe Jill Brown gets rushed, she's not as accurate, just sort of throw them off their game. We don't really know exactly what type of game plan the Cougars like to employ here offensively, but I think maybe that's an option, coming into this matchup, having not seen them play. I think maybe Hofstra, kind of runs and guns it, pushes the envelope a little bit.
I think you just let her get her, or at least try and let her distribute the ball, because I feel like if you're guarding outside by the arc, you're going to have a good time against CFC, because we mentioned how poor they've been shooting from the three-point line and just field goal percentage in general. I believe they're bottom in the CAA in field goal percentage, so let her try and distribute the ball, because there's a good chance that her players around her will not be making the shots, and so she's going to distribute the ball. She's going to find the players. Now it's just a matter of Hofstra if they can defend and make sure they get their rebounds.
Chris, Nick, what's a key matchup to look for between the Pride and the Cougars?
I'm going to go with Anama Onyuku being guarded by Brianna Bolden at guard for the Cougars. Onyuku coming off her second double-double. And I think it'll be interesting to see how Onyuku plays at forward as she tries to follow up her big performance against UNCW. And we talked about it earlier in the show. We're looking for her to step up. I think this is certainly a game that if Hofstra's going to quickly turn things around here in conference play, Onyuku needs to step up this afternoon.
I feel like it's going to be Crystal Luciano matches up against the guard, whether it be Jillian Brown. How is she going to compete against Jillian Brown, who is first in the CAA in assists? How is she going to match up being at the guard position? Because is she going to try and outdo her? Because Christian, she tries to get a little ahead of herself sometimes. You've seen mistakes in the past that she has made where you could tell that she's making rookie mistakes, or she's ahead of where she is right now, talent-wise.
Now, before we send it across Hempstead Turnpike to the Mack Sports Complex, where the Hofstra Pride will take on the College of Charleston Cougars, what are your locker room keys to the game?
I'm going to go with rebounding. I think that's been a strong point for Hofstra as of late, thanks to Onyuku and Etta Faroka. In the paint, we've talked about their improved play under the basket, but Charleston excels in that area as well, so the Pride need to be on their game on the boards today to try to get the W.
I think for me, it's going to be watch when you have the ball. We know how well they are at turning over the ball CFC, how they can cause so many steals. For your Hofstra, be careful when you have the ball because the Cougars, they could find a way to steal the ball and they could have a fast break going the other way.
Well, that'll do it for us here inside the pregame edition of the Locker Room. Right now, we'll send it across Hempstead Turnpike to the Mack Sports Complex, where Josh Levin, Dan Savarino, and Rich DeCourt will have all the action for you between the Pride and the Cougars. From panelists Chris Buckley and Nick Velastro, I'm Mark Wiener. We'll be back at halftime, but for now, Josh, take it away.
Hofstra fans, get ready. The WRHU sports team brings you your preview for the weekend in Hofstra Pride Sports. Double every Friday night from 6 to 6:30, only on your home for Hofstra Pride Sports, 88.7 FM, WRHU.
What I Want to Be Day at the Mack, and with hundreds of screaming elementary school kids, the Hofstra Pride women's basketball team figures to have quite the home court advantage today. But the Pride are looking to get even in conference play as they welcome in CAA newcomer College of Charleston to the Mack for the first time in program history. Hofstra versus the College of Charleston, next on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network.
Hi, this is Coach Krista Kilburn-Staveski of your Hofstra Pride women's basketball team, and you're listening to all the action live on Hofstra Pride Sports Network.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride women's basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Welcome to the David S. Mack Sports and Exhibition Complex for this afternoon affair between the Hofstra Pride and the College of Charleston Cougars. I'm Josh Levin, joined by Dan Savarino, soon to be joined by Rich DeCourt on the sidelines. And Dan, in this game, a lot of little kids here on What I Want to Be Day, but more importantly for Hofstra, it's a CAA contest. They're trying to get to 500 in the conference against a tough-to-beat College of Charleston team.
First meeting between the two sides, the first time Hofstra or CFC have ever seen each other. They were picked 7th in the conference, Hofstra picked 6th, but they have a very strong depth on that backcourt, and that is a big difference in this game. It's going to be the deciding factor. You know they're going to pressure, so Hofstra needs to come out and make sure they play smart.
And Dan, for College of Charleston, they feature two scorers averaging 14 or more points per game in Alyssa Fry and Afria Tolbert. Going to be very difficult for the Pride to defend those two.
Fry, a second-team All-CAA player to start off. Well, you look at, for the preseason, but you look at this team, they just put up over 100 points against William & Mary for their first CAA win, so they're going to come out gunning today. You know they have the experience on the back end so far under Natasha Adair's second year.
All right, let's head to the studio for a 10-second station identification before we send it back here to the Mack for tip-off.
Broadcasting from the Hofstra School of Communication, this is the radio home of Hofstra Pride Sports. WRHU-FM Hempstead. Radio Hofstra University.
Welcome back to the Mack, and now let's shoot sideline with Rich DeCourt for the latest on what's happening in this matchup between the Pride and the College of Charleston Cougars. Rich?
And guys, one injury to report today for Hofstra. Jaquel King-Gilchrist day-to-day with some illness. Of course, Andriana Thomas still out with the suspension, a violation of team rules. In terms of what we're going to see today from the College of Charleston, I spoke earlier today with Hofstra's head coach, Krista Kilburn-Stevesky, who told me we're going to see an opponent who can push the pace of play like no opponent Hofstra has seen in recent memory. They're very potent offensively. You look at the senior guard, Alyssa Fry, averaging 14.7 points per game. At the same time, they're very good in the post as well. Afria Tolbert averaging 8.5 rebounds per game. It's going to be a tough test for Hofstra in the form of their new conference opponent all around. Back to you guys.
All right, Rich, thanks very much for that. And now, Dan, game time just a couple of seconds away. Before we tip off here, we give you the starting lineups for these two teams. For Hofstra, it's going to be a similar lineup to what we've seen the last few games. In the backcourt, it'll be Asia Jackson, Kelly Loftus, and Crystal Luciano. And in the front court, Anma Anyuku and another freshman in Alo Edifaroka. And then for the visiting College of Charleston Cougars, it'll be Jillian Brown, the senior guard, Alyssa Fry, another senior guard, and Afria Tolbert, a senior guard. So a three-player backcourt features all seniors. And the front court, Brianna Bolden, a freshman, and Christy Hewitt, a junior. So, Dan, similar lineups to what we've seen. The Pride going with a young lineup, the Cougars going with a very experienced lineup. But for the Pride, what's good for these freshmen, the three freshmen, Edifaroka, Loftus, and Luciano, they've gotten a lot of game experience already.
They have. And the thing about Crystal Luciano, she's been averaging about 4 assists per game, about 8 points per game. She doesn't shoot the ball as much. She finds her opportune times. You would maybe like to see her shoot the ball a little bit more. But for the rest of them, Alo is growing more and more as a player each game. She's developing her game. They're led by Anma Anyuku, as we know. Of course, their only captain and their leader.
All right, Dan. So tip-off just about a second away. Alo Edifaroka will take it for the Pride, and for the Cougars, it'll be Brianna Bolden, and the Pride win it. It's Crystal Luciano in the backcourt with a long pass for Anma Anyuku. Unguarded, she throws up a layup, it won't go. Edifaroka comes down with the offensive board, and the putback is good. 2-0 Pride. So the College of Charleston now in their maroon jerseys with gold lettering, bringing the ball up the court. It's Jillian Brown. Pride in a 2-3 zone to start. Brown gets a screen, goes to the sideline for Bolden. Bolden into the corner for Fry. Back up top to Bolden. Bolden now goes to the wing for Brown. Brown just inside the three-point line. Her shot misses, and the rebound goes to the Pride. A long pass from Luciano to Edifaroka. Edifaroka with the easy lay-in. 4-0 Pride. Two quick baskets right in the paint, and Natasha Adair not happy with what she's seeing. Calls a quick timeout just 41 seconds into the game.
Alo already matching her team high 4 points last game. She already has 4 points in less than a minute into this game. Exactly what you want to see. Push the pressure, fast pace, go up and in. Alo has been growing more and more as a player. She has the height advantage on a couple of players here, so you really want to see her use that to her advantage, work on her post moves, but really, it all starts in the transition game, and this is what you want to see. This is what Coach Stevesky wants to see. Be a heady player. That's what Crystal Luciano is. She always likes to say. She's a heady player. She's a smart player. And that's exactly what you're already seeing from Crystal here in just a couple, not even a minute in.
Two similar plays, one off the tip, a long pass, and then off a defensive rebound, a long pass, where two players were leaking out. That time it was Edifaroka and Anyuku. The ball went to Edifaroka first. So the Pride saw something in the scouting report that they like, and they've exploited it for two easy baskets. Meanwhile, the College of Charleston Cougars now have the ball on their side of the floor. It's Fry, guarded toughly by Loftus at the top of the key. Right now, it's Tolbert. Tolbert, a dribble and a stop at the free throw line, goes to Huber to the wing. Hewitt hits the jumper, gets the College of Charleston on the board. It's a three-pointer, they say. Pride up by 1.
He's coming off a career-high 18 points against William & Mary, 9 of 10 shooting.
It's Loftus on the wing in front of the Cougar bench to Luciano as they swing it around to Jackson, now Edifaroka. Inside to Anyuku as she was fronted by Hewitt. Her layup goes in. 6-3 Pride. 3 very easy baskets. Now the three-pointer from Fry is no good. Rebound goes to Edifaroka, but it's tipped and goes to Loftus, and now Luciano has it as she pushes the pace and crosses half court. She slows things down, finds Anyuku at the top of the key. Now to Loftus and back to Luciano, guarded by Jillian Brown, as the Cougars feature a man-to-man defense stolen away by Bolden, and now the Cougars have it. Brown will take it up.
Got to watch out for that. Bolden averaging about 2 steals per game. This team is very aggressive. One of the tops in the CAA so far in steals per game.
They go inside to Hewitt. Her jumper from the free throw line won't go. Rebound out of bounds, tipped off on Yuku, they say, and it'll stay this way. It'll be Cougar ball. Anyuku was trying to go for for a defensive rebound. Looked like she had it tipped off of her by a defending player from College of Charleston. So it stays this way. Ruth Sherrill checks into the game. Alo Edifaroka, after 4 points, gets the early hook and will sit on the bench now. The referee's discussing something. Krista Kilburn-Staveski wants some sort of explanation. Can't hear exactly what she's saying, but the College of Charleston and the Pride will huddle up as there's a little bit of a delay. I would guess something with the clock.
It might be the clock, or it might be who touched the ball last going out. Not really sure, but you look at this team for CFC, and right now they're leading in defensive rebounds per game, about 28, so you have to be very strong on the offensive glass for the Hofstra Pride.
Brown ins it to Tolbert in the corner, back up top to Bolden. Bolden at the H now, makes her move, finds Fry on the wing. Fry has a hard time handling the pass and has to give to Brown. Now Brown goes back to Fry on the wing in front of the Pride bench. To Tolbert at the top of the key. Tolbert looks inside, doesn't go that way. Loses control for dribble and drive. She falls into Asia Jackson. It's an offensive foul. It'll be Pride ball. Anma Anyuka will inbound on the sideline to our left to Crystal Luciano. Luciano calls out a play. Luciano crosses half court, guarded by Brown. Now finds Sherrill at the 3-point line. Back to Loftus at the wing, at the top of the key. They call a moving screen on Anma Anyuku. So the first foul of the game for Anyuku, the first for the Pride, as 2 possessions back and forth for both teams ending in offensive fouls. It's Bolden at the top of the key to Fry, back to Bolden, back to Brown as they swing it around the arc. Back to Bolden. Bolden now makes her move on Luciano. Fouls called on Luciano. Luciano very much undersized on that matchup. She had to foul to make up for missed ground and lost size. Luciano will head to the bench. Annie Payton now will come in, coming off of a pretty good game against UNC Wilmington on Sunday. She had 12 points. 10 of those came in the first half.
AP, as she's known on this team, Annie Payton, has been really a strong 6th man for this team the last couple of games. Now she's been out of the starting lineup. She put up 14 against UNCW on Sunday.
Fry will inbound. Guarded toughly by Anyuku. Finds Bolden in the corner. Bolden to Brown. To Tolbert on the wing. Tolbert guarded by Payton. They find Hewitt. Now Hewitt to Tolbert. Tolbert's jumper hits nothing, and the rebound is pulled down by Sherrill. So now Asia Jackson finds Loftus in the corner. Loftus throws up a layup. It won't go. She was out of control on that, and now Brown will bring it up as the Cougars look to push the pace. It's Fry, drives inside, throws up a righty layup. It goes off glass. Pride with a 6-5 lead. 16:40 to go in the first half. Jackson to Payton. Payton swings it back around to Jackson. Jackson goes inside to the free throw line for Anyuku. Her jumper won't go. She follows her shot but can't get the board, and it's pulled down by Bolden. Now Bolden pushes the pace. She's got one player to beat. She can't. The dribble goes behind her, and they call a travel as she shuffled her feet. It'll be Pride ball, and Alexis Carter will check in for Kelly Loftus.
The 5'10", Brianna Bolden played pretty much all 3 positions, at least 3 guard positions. She's one of those true guards you can see for this team. She's going to grow more and more and be a significant part of it. You learn so much from leaders like Jill Brown and Alyssa Fry.
Asia Jackson brings the ball up, playing the point now for the Pride with Luciano on the bench. It's Anyuku. Anyuku finds Carter for a wide open 3 at the top of the key. Won't go. Rebound pulled down by Brown, and now will come the other way. It's Tolbert. Makes her move on Payton. She used a forearm, they say. And it'll be a foul on Payton. It's her first, team's third. It'll be on the floor. No shot was attempted. The Cougars will inbound, and Sydney Epps now checks in for Anma Anyuku as Coach Kilburn-Staveski likes to go with a big rotation early. She doesn't let her starters play that many minutes. She likes to keep everybody fresh. It's Cougar ball. Bolden has it at the top of the key, guarded by Jackson. She has a screen from Hewitt. Doesn't take it as Jackson does a good job to come over. Now it's Bolden at the top of the key again. She drives inside, pulls up a floater from the left box, and it goes. 7-6, the Cougars lead the first time tonight. 15:40 to go. Asia Jackson to Payton, to Epps in the corner. Epps drives baseline, loses the ball. Alexis Carter comes down with it. Now they go inside to Sherrill from a pass from Jackson. She throws up a layup. She's fouled, and she'll go to the line for 2 shots. When we come back, you're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on 88.7 FM WRHU.
WRHU is your home for all things Hofstra sports. We bring you complete coverage of all 17 Pride teams. From the 4 corners of the country,
here in Spokane, Washington,
here in Los Angeles, from Tampa, Florida,
in Boston,
to right here in Hempstead,
with you at the Mack Sports Complex,
at University Field,
here at James M. Stewart Stadium,
and everywhere in between.
From the KFC Yum Center,
welcome to James Naismith Court,
from the Cancun Challenge in Mexico.
For complete game schedules and more information, check out WRHU.org and follow us on Twitter at WRHU Sports.
Long Island's largest radio news team brings you the Associated Press award-winning program, Newsline. Weekdays at 5:30 p.m. exclusively on WRHU-FM and WRHU.org radio.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Welcome back to the Mack. Hofstra with a 1-point deficit early, 15:30 to go. College of Charleston leads 7-6. Josh Levin joined by Dan Savarino. Ruth Sherrill will shoot 2 free throws. But before that, let's shoot sideline for Rich DeCourt. Rich?
Well, guys, as you may have noticed, the Mack is loud today. It is packed. It is what I want to be today. 1,500 grade school students all the way from 1st graders to 7th graders packing the Mack to learn about potential career options. Before the game, they were treated to presentations on options such as emergency medical service, newspaper management, hotel management, and this little thing called broadcasting. A little bit of everything here for those kids coming to What I Want to Be Day. Back to you guys.
All right, Rich, thank you for that. And it is a packed Mack today. Definite home court advantage, I should say, for the Pride. And Dan Rusharilla on the free throw line with 2 shots. She was fouled before the break as the first one goes off back iron, no good. The free throws have been something the Pride have struggled with this year. It's been an ongoing struggle. They shot 50% in their last game against UNCW. The second free throw rattles around the tin. It won't go, and the rebound is pulled down by Tolbert and will go the other way. Moving right to left are the Cougars. Jillian Brown has it. A long 3 from Fry. It won't go. Rebound fought for and won by Tolbert. Tolbert with a spin move. Her shot blocked out of bounds. The Cougars will inbound. D. Thomas Palmer checks in for Ruth Sherrill. So 10 Pride players have seen action today already. Inbounded to Hewitt right under the glass. Her shot won't go. Second effort. She elects not to go back up with it and reset the offense. It's Fry at the top of the key. The Pride still in a 2-3 zone. Jillian Brown now has it on the wing. They go inside to Hewitt. Hewitt at the free throw line, drives inside, elects to go back to Tolbert. Now Tolbert to Brown. Brown drives baseline. Pass is stolen by Epps as she tried to go to the near corner for Fry. Now it's Luciano pushing the pace. Luciano with a blazing speed. Her pass for D. Thomas Palmer is taken away by Fry, and now it's Bolden. Bolden drives on Epps. Her layup hits nothing. She comes down with it. That should have been a travel, and the shot from Tolbert's in the corner is no good. She went up with the shot. It hit nothing. She pulled down the rebound. You're not supposed to do that. You're not allowed to do that, but it wasn't called, so now the Pride have it. It's Annie Payton at the top of the key. She tried to look for Thomas Palmer. The pass was deflected by Brown, and it's a fight on the floor between Luciano and Brown, and the possession arrow faces Charleston, so they'll get it. Jazz Green checks in. Brianna Bolden goes out. Green, the 5'7" junior, has it now. It's Tolbert on the wing in front of the Pride bench. Tolbert comes to her left, finds Brown, and now Fry as they swing it around the arc. Fry back to Green. Green, couple of dribbles to her left, now gets it to Fry. Fry takes a couple steps, throws up a shot, won't go. Rebound pulled down by Thomas Palmer, and now it's Pride ball moving left to right. Luciano, guarded by Fry. It's Carter now as the Cougars switch on a screen. Luciano has it in front of the bench. Luciano drives inside, throws up a scoop layup. Won't go. They call a foul on the Cougars. We'll see who it's on. It's on Fry. The Cougar bench upset with that. They thought that was a charge. Luciano will go to the line for a couple of shots.
The thing about Krista Luciano, she's only 5'5", and she's not that big. But you know what? She's tough, and she knows how to go towards the basket, and she loves to attack the basket. Pass first, she's a kind of pass first player, but when she does attack, she usually finds herself a way to get to the foul line.
First free throw, no good, and she's got blazing speed.
Oh, yeah.
Erin Hall checks in, and she'll replace Hewitt, and Fry comes out as well for Jasmine Carter, the freshman. Luciano's second shot is good, and Luciano this year shooting 52% from the floor, 46% from three. I know she's a point guard and a pass-first player, but I think the Pride would like to see her be a little bit more aggressive at times. As the Pride in the full-court press, the Cougars finally break it. It's Green underneath the basket. Her shot blocked by D. Thomas Palmer, out of bounds. Cougars will inbound underneath the basket. The score 7-7, tied up here with 13:22 to go in the first half. Cougars inbound to Tolbert. It's Green at the top of the key, drives to her left inside, back out to Tolbert. Tolbert with one dribble throws up a shot. They call a traveling violation on her. It'll be another turnover for the Cougars. Hofstra ball.
Second traveling violation so far by the College of Charleston, just 7 minutes into this game.
It's our fourth turnover. The Pride also have 4. Luciano has it, and she gives off to Peyton in front of the Cougar bench. Peyton double teamed and trapped. Gives it to Luciano. Luciano goes inside for Thomas Palmer. It's a jump ball call. Possession arrow favors the Pride, so they'll inbound underneath the basket. Luciano will be the inbounder. Just gets it off in time to Epps. Now back to Luciano at the top of the key as she runs off a screen. Now she'll call out a play. Waits for something to happen, and she gives it to Peyton. Now Peyton to Epps in the corner. Epps drives right, throws up a shot from around the free throw line and won't go. A one-handed shot didn't go, and the rebound goes to the Cougars. It's Brown to Green. Green to Tolbert in the corner. She's fouled. Shot won't count. They say it was on the floor. No continuation in the NCAA, and it'll be Epps with the foul. The Cougars will inbound. 3 new players checking back in. It's Loftus, Edifaroka, and Onyuku. Peyton, D. Thomas Palmer, and Carter will go to the bench. So the starters check back in. It's Tolbert with a wide open jumper off the inbounds play, but closing out was Onyuku. She fouled her. That's her second foul, the team's 5th. It's a shooting foul. So Tolbert will go to the line for a couple of shots.
You got to watch out. Your leading scorer now. She had a double-double last game, and AO, the captain of this Hofstra Pride team. She averages about 2 fouls per game, and actually right now Coach Stevesky is talking to the official, and AO's looking back to saying, Coach, to stop.
Free throw is no good off back iron. Onyuku, a very calming presence on this team. The second shot won't go. She pulls down the rebound does Onyuku. A lot of times, and we see that because we travel with the team on the road trips, just a very calming influence over the players. They definitely look up to her, even her classmates, her seniors. As the ball's fought for on the ground after Luciano had it deflected, they say College of Charleston will have it the Pride will have it. Tolbert will go out of the game now. Checking in is Janice Winter. I'm not sure what the call was there. I didn't see the signal, but it's Edifaroka now on the block, working on Carter. She goes inside for Loftus. She threw the pass too high. Loftus has long arms, but not that long, and the ball goes out of bounds. So it'll be Cougar ball.
That's going to be a matchup you're going to see a lot more between Jasmine Carter and Alo Edifaroka, or Ruth Sherrill, or D. Thomas Palmer. She's a tough player, even though she doesn't have the size advantage that everybody. She's very strong down the low block.
Annie Payton checks in for Onyuku, and she has 2 early fouls. Ball's fought for on the ground again. They call it a jump ball. Possession arrow favors the Cougar, so it'll be theirs underneath the basket. And things have really slowed down. 12 minutes even to go. 7-7 is the score. Josh Levitt and Dan Savarino also joined by Rich DeCourt today. as Hall has it at the top of the key. Now to Winter. Winter's jumper from about 15 feet, doesn't go. Another ball fall for 50-50 ball. This time they say Pride ball after a foul is called. Looked like it was on green. Looked like she tripped Asia Jackson. And we will take a little break. It'll be Pride ball when we come back. 7-7 is the score, 11:51 to go. You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on 88.7 FM WRHU.
Islanders fans have an edge. Islanders Edge, the weekly half-hour magazine radio show dedicated to all things Islanders. All things Islanders. Exclusive interviews with players, candid comments from the coach, breaking news, up-to-the-minute stats, and much, much more. Everyone loves an edge. Now you have it. Islanders Edge. Friday nights at 6:30, exclusively on the flagship radio station for your New York Islanders, 88.7 FM, Radio Hofstra University.
Tune in to The Coaches Show every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Go inside the minds of your favorite Hofstra coaches on The Coaches Show. Only on your home for Hofstra Sports, 88.7 FM, WRHU.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Welcome back to the Mack. The Pride and the Cougars tied at 7. Josh Levin and Dan Savarino here. That'll be the Pride ball, but before that, let's shoot sideline. Rich to court.
Well, guys, the College of Charleston may be the new face in the CAA, but the institution is actually older than the United States of America. Back in 1770, the College of Charleston was founded, but then this thing called the American Revolution got in the way, and it wasn't chartered until 1785, where 3 of the chartered members signing the document to charter College of Charleston were actually signers of the Declaration of Independence. It's still the oldest municipal university or higher institute of higher learning in the United States, and it's the 18th oldest university in the country. Guys, back to you.
All right, Rich, thanks for the history lesson. Some good stuff there. It's Pride ball. Crystal Luciano to Annie Payton on the wing. Payton looked like she wanted to take the three-pointer but doesn't. It goes a cross-court pass for Asia Jackson. Now Jackson drives towards the basket. She disses off to Eda Faroka, who was fouled. Use a forearm. Jazz Green gets called for her second personal. Afria Tolbert checks back in. The 5th foul for the Cougars. Both teams have 5. Ball's inbounded to Eda Faroka in the corner. Not what the Pride need to do there. She's lost in the corner. If you get her the ball, that's not her game. They go back inside to Eda Faroka. Now to the corner for Payton. Her three-pointer is pure. 10-7 Pride lead. And that's what the Pride want from Annie Payton. Instant offense, and she's smiling after that one. So it's Cougar ball now. And Payton, with some good defense, blocks that pass from Winter, but the Cougars get it back. It's Tolbert in front of the Pride bench. Inside to Hall. Hall goes to Carter. Carter's little 5-footer doesn't go. Ball goes out of bounds off the Pride. It'll stay this way. Cougar ball. 11:01 to go and a fresh 30.
And you asked Coach Devesky about Annie Payton and coming off the bench and being really that sixth man, so she embraces it even more. You'd like to see her, and she fits better in that situation.
Carter's jump shot won't go. Rebound pulled down by Eda Faroka. She falls hard to the ground. The Hofstra bench wanted a foul. They don't get one. Luciano calls out a play at the top of the key, guarded by Hall. Movement by Payton to the left side. She drives baseline, throws up a shot, anticipated the contact well, drew the shot up, and was fouled on a push. Let's see who it was called on. Jillian Brown, her first, team 6th. Annie Payton at the line for 2 shots, and the Cougars are getting themselves into dangerous territory with the foul situation with over 10 minutes to go in this half. 6 fouls already, very close to the 1-and-1.
Meanwhile, Hofstra, they had 3 fouls to none in the first couple of minutes, but coming back now, 6 fouls in the bonus situation as Annie hits the first one. She now has 4 points. Hofstra up by 4, it's 11-7, but foul situation, and it's going to be a physical game already. You're telling just on the floor, and even more so inside. The presence inside is just so physical in the first couple of minutes from this Cougar squad.
Hewitt and Fry check back in for the Cougars. Hall and Carter go to the bench. Sherrill for the Pride checks back in. Eda Faroka to the bench. As Payton's second free throw, no good. She did hit the first. It's 11-7 Pride. Brown, guarded by Loftus, brings the ball up. They find Winter in the corner. Now they go inside. They dump it to Hewitt. Hewitt and Winter with a nice give and go, but it's deflected by Loftus as she runs the floor. Pass inside to Jackson. 2 layup attempts won't go, and now it's Cougar ball. Not such a picture-perfect game to begin as Hewitt's layup on the right side of the lane goes. 11-9. Hofstra leads. A scoring drought of over 3 minutes for the Cougars just ended with that basket. They go inside for Sherrill. Sherrill to the corner for Loftus. Her pass no good. A couple of passes now to Loftus have been too high and too wide, so 2 turnovers for the Pride there. Asia Jackson will go to the bench. Alexis Carter comes back in. Sydney Epps will come back in for Kelly Loftus. Bree Bolden will check back in. Janice Winter will go to the bench. It is Cougar ball as they inbound it underneath the far basket and now bring it up. Pass is deflected from Fry to to Bolden by Peyton. Peyton's shown some good hands early on defensively. 2 deflections. It's Bolden in the corner, now on the wing as she dribbles to her right to Fry at the top of the key. Fry back to Bolden as they switch places off a screen. Bolden just inside the 3-point line, kicks it out on the wing to Fry. Her 3-pointer won't go. Long rebound goes back to the Cougars. Bolden's jumper won't go. It hit nothing, and the ball rolls out of bounds. It's Pride ball. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of how things are going today, both teams just 4 field goals, 4 of 19 for the Cougars, that's 21%, and 4 of 11 for the Pride, that's 36%. So definitely not a hot beginning for either team. It's Peyton on the wing after a pass from Luciano. She's fouled by Bolden. That'll be Bolden's first, team 7th. Bree Bolden will go to the bench. Jazz Winter will check back in. 1-1 now for the Pride as they're in the bonus. First one no good. Rebound though pulled out by Sherrill on a long rebound in front of the Cougar bench, and now Luciano has it with a fresh 30. She drives to her right, gives to Peyton in the corner. Peyton to the top of the key for Epps. Epps now drives right to Luciano in the corner. Now Luciano makes her move to the basket. She throws up a right-handed layup, rattles around and goes. The foul was called as well. She'll go to the line for one more. Krista Luciano with a very nice start to this game. She's got 3 points with some good action from her. 13-9 Pride with 9:06 to go.
The Puerto Rican coming in very strong, as we always say. She has that ability to attack to the basket like she wants to. She doesn't have the size, but against teams that are smaller, especially down in the post, she has that ability to now hit those shots and be able to get better looks going towards the hoop.
Hall checks in for Fry. The free throw is good. Luciano's probably the best free throw shooter on the team. It's 14-9 Pride as the College of Charleston comes the other way with it. A pass from Green to Hall was mishandled in front of the Pride bench. It landed in the assistant coach's laps over there, and it'll be Pride ball now as Luciano brings it up. Carter back to Luciano in the far corner. She swings it around to Epps. Epps takes a 3 from the wing. Her shot no good. Rebound pulled down by Hall. Cougars come the other way. It's Brown to Hall. Hall takes a long 3. That shot no good. Rebound pulled down and fought for by the Pride. It's Epps. Epps now drives the floor. Fakes Brown. Brown looked to draw a charge, but Epps didn't go with it. Her shot, though, no good. And it's Cougar ball. Hall inside to Hewitt. Hewitt takes a couple of dribbles. She throws up a shot. Thought she was fouled. The ball goes out of bounds, though, off the Pride. Cougar ball.
We're seeing from the Pride so far, especially when they get down low, they're collapsing towards the hoop. They're doing a good job of collapsing and using their size to their ability. Usually they don't have that size advantage, but today they do.
So it'll be an inbounds play from Hall to Brown to Tolbert at the top of the key to Hewitt. Hewitt fakes a 3, drives once, now gives to Tolbert. Tolbert's jumper from the foul line extended on the left side, no good. Tolbert 0 for 4 on the day in field goals. Luciano, she goes in a blink of an eye, and she finds Epps at the top of the key after driving into the paint. It's picked up by Tolbert. Now Tolbert drives the floor. One player to beat, throws up a shot, a wild one, pulled down by Carter on the weak side. Now Carter drives. Carter takes a layup. Her shot won't go. Rebound pulled down by Charleston and Hall. And now Brown will take it back. And they need to slow down the pace of this game. It's gotten a little bit out of control. Both teams not being able to handle the quickness that this game has taken. A foul is called, or double dribble is called on College of Charleston. Hofstra ball after the timeout. It's Pride 14, College of Charleston 9. You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on 88.7 FM WRHU.
Wake up your mind. Start your day with Hofstra's Morning Wake Up Call. Weekday mornings, 7 till 9 a.m. Lively talk about Long Island life, national news, and international issues from the minds and mouths of Hofstra students.
Hofstra fans, get ready. The WRHU sports team brings you your preview for the weekend in Hofstra Pride Sports. Double Pen every Friday night from 6 to 6:30, only on your home for Hofstra Pride Sports. 88.7 FM, WRHU.
Long Island's largest radio news team brings you the Associated Press award-winning program Newsline. Weekdays at 5:30 p.m. exclusively on WRHU-FM and WRHU.org Radio Hofstra University.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Welcome back to the Mack. Josh Levin, Dan Savarino. Pride up by 5, 14-9. Let's shoot sideline for Rich the Court. Rich?
Well, guys, this past Wednesday, the Pride had the chance to give back to the community, spending some time volunteering at the Inn Soup Kitchen in Hempstead. This is the 8th year in a row where the Pride have volunteered their time to feed the homeless and help them with some of the programs going on at the Inn, which stands for Interfaith Nutrition Network. And this is the 3rd year where the Pride have raised money as a team to fund some of the programs going on at the Inn. At this Sunday's game, there's actually going to be a check presented at halftime to commemorate some of the money raised in these efforts. Guys, back over to you.
All right, Rich, thank you. Great stuff for the Pride. Community service, always something the Pride like to do, and it's their ball. Asia Jackson, Kelly Loftus are back in for the Pride. Jackson running the point. Gives to Carter on the wing. Carter with a long cross-court pass into the far corner for Peyton. She tried to go to the block for Sherrill. It's taken away by Charleston, and now Brown comes the other way with it. Brown stops at the free throw line, gives off to Hall. Hall's long three-pointer won't go. That's the second time today she's done that. Tolbert comes down with the offensive board. A little scoop putback goes in. It's 14-11, and that's her first field goal of the day. And on the season, Tolbert averaging 14 points and 8 rebounds even. So to keep her off the score sheet this late into the first half, a good thing for the Pride. Loftus has it stripped by Brown, and now Charleston will have it. It's Green. Green with a jumper from inside. The three-point line won't go. Rebound pulled down by the big freshman Carter. Carter's offensive board and putback goes. Pride up by 1, and Coach Kilburn-Staveski doesn't like what she sees after the media timeout, so she'll take one of her own. Pride up by 1, 16:40 to go. And Dan, Charleston has got back into the game here with a little 4-0 spurt after the timeout. But Dan, it's been a rough go of it for both teams offensively today. These are two pretty good offenses. The College of Charleston in the CAA offensively, they're second in points per game at 68.1 per game and just 13 right now. You have to credit some good defense from the Pride, but also some poor shots, bad shot selection for the Cougars, and it's been a little bit of an ugly start.
Well, you look for Hofstra, they're 2 for their last 10 shooting, and they're not taking their best looks, and they're making passes that are poor. But when you look for the Cougars right now, they're doing a little bit of the opposite. Now they're starting to get the better looks. They're just not sinking them. That's the difference.
All right, so it's Asia Jackson working in the half court for the Pride. To Carter at the top of the key, back to Jackson as the Cougars switch. It'll be Green on Jackson as the Cougars feature a man-to-man. She takes a screen from Etta Faroka, but she's stopped. Good defense. It's Loftus in the corner after a couple of passes. She drives inside. Her layup rattles around, won't go. Rebound fought for by Etta Faroka and Hall, and it's Cougar ball. Now it's Brown. Pushing the pace, finds Tolbert, but a bad pass. Hall with a wide-open three-pointer. Her shot won't go. A foul happens underneath the basket, an off-ball foul. Looked like on Alo Etta Faroka. It is. It's Etta Faroka's first, team 7th. Team sixth, excuse me. So they inbound underneath the basket to Tolbert. Tolbert's dribble stripped by Jackson, but the Cougars recover. It's Brown at the top of the key. They go to Green, now in the corner for Hall. Hall, back to Tolbert. Tolbert drives inside off one dribble, throws up a jumper. Her shot won't go. It's off today. And the rebound goes to Ediferoka. Pride will have it. 5:40 to go. 14-13 the score. The Pride with a 1-point lead. It's Carter. She drives inside at the free throw line. Her jumper falls. 16-13 Pride lead. 5:26 to go. It's Tolbert. And now inside to Carter, and it's stolen away by Jackson. Jackson drives inside. They call a blocking foul on the Cougars. It looks like it's called on Winter. Or excuse me, Jazz Green. Winter was in before. She's on the bench now, so it'll be Asia Jackson with 2 shots after the layup didn't go. These will be Jackson's first attempts from the line tonight. The first one is good. 17-13 Pride lead. Hewitt and Bolden check in for Carter and Green. Crystal Luciano back into the game for Alexis Carter. Looks like Carter's having a little bit of a problem with her right knee. And the second free throw is good. 18-13 Pride. Pride in a full court press now, as it's Tolbert bringing the ball up. Pride not really pressing that hard. The pass goes cross court to Brown. Brown is bumped by Loftus in the backcourt. Not sure why you'd give the foul in that situation when you're in the bonus now.
But you know what, Josh? I think it was Kelly was coming over right around half court. She was just trying to cut her off. And it's one of those hand check fouls where you're a little bit too, it's borderline, you know? You just get one little hand and they're too many, or a little bit too aggressive a push, and there you go. It's a foul. That's just the way the game has gone and the way the game has grown, at least this season.
Brown's first one is good. So it's a 4-point lead. And on the opposite side of us of the court, Coach Kilburn-Stavesky having a chat with the official. I'm probably arguing the same thing that you were just saying, Dan, as the second free throw is good, that it's a ticky-tack call, and she's saying that on the other side it's happening and the Pride aren't getting the call, so she just wants the refs to take notice. Luciano calls out a play. Lots of movement for the Pride. It's Peyton on the wing. She can't recover the pass, and it goes out of bounds. So it'll be Cougar ball.
That was poor communication there between Crystal Luciano and Annie Payton. Annie's back was turned. Crystal thought she was already turned around and just tried to hit her on the left wing.
Shannon Hines checks into the game for the first time today for the Cougars. Erin Hall takes a seat. It's Bolden in the corner. She works her way towards the top of the key, gives off to Tolbert in the corner. Tolbert goes inside for Bolden. Good backdoor action, but her layup won't go. Rebound pulled down by Ediferoka. She had an up and under layup. The shot wouldn't go, but she was wide open. The Pride have to defend that play. It's Luciano driving the paint by herself. She had it hit, and last touch off of her, so it's Charleston ball. Tough break there for Luciano. Tolbert inbound now to Brown. As the Pride again in a full court press. They have 3 defenders in the back court. And the pass from Bolden goes cross court to Hines. Dangerous pass, but the Cougars recover. Hines checks in, takes a 3-pointer. A long shot won't go. Rebound pulled down by Peyton, and the Pride will have it. As we approach 4 minutes to go in the first half, 18-15 Pride lead. It's been a rough one in terms of field goal percentage. If you like a lot of offense, you're not getting it today, but some good defense for both teams early on, as the pass from Loftus to Ediferoka goes past Ediferoka to Peyton in the corner. Now it's Loftus in the corner. Her 3-pointer hits nothing, and the rebound pulled down by Bolden. Bolden to Brown. Back to Bolden at the top of the key to Hines on the wing in front of the Pride bench. She has it, drives inside, goes to Brown. Brown underneath the basket, kicks out for Tolbert. Her 2-pointer is good. She was just inside the line on the near wing. It's 18-17, a 1-point lead, just under 3:30 to go.
Only her second 3-pointer made this season, her 5th attempt.
And it's Ediferoka on the high post. Goes into the corner for Luciano, a wide open 3. It is good. Crystal Luciano continues the great start to her rookie season, continues to hit the three well, over 45% on the season. It's 21-17 Pride. The Pride needed that basket as well. It's Bolden at the top of the key, goes cross court to Tolbert. Tolbert guarded by Peyton. She gets past Peyton, picked up by Jackson, and Jackson strips the ball. Now she has it in the front court, throws up a shot. It won't go. She's fouled on the shot attempt. See who they call it on. Hines was called for the foul. It'll be 2 shots when we come back for Asia Jackson. You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on 88.7 FM WRHU.
Hey everyone, this is Joe Mahalik, head coach of your Hofstra Pride men's basketball team. Here's what's on tap this week.
Sunday, the Pride are down in Texas to take on SMU. Pre-game edition of The Locker Room is at 6:45, taking you to tip-off at 7. It's the Pride and the Mustangs. Sunday at 7, right here on WRHU. More information on Hofstra Pride Athletics can be found at gohofstra.com.
WRHU FM is your flagship radio station for New York Islanders hockey. Hear all of the exciting action of every New York Islanders game live on WRHU FM. Remember, your radio home for New York Islanders hockey is WRHU FM Radio Hofstra University.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Welcome back to the MAC. Josh Levin and Dan Savarino. The Pride with a 4-point lead, 21-17, 2:50 to go in the first half. Let's shoot sideline to the third member of our broadcast team, and Rich DeCourt. Rich?
And guys, in a constant search for depth where 10 players are averaging double minutes on this Hofstra team, the class of 2017, this freshman class, has shined. In the past 4 games, all 3 of the freshmen, that class of 2017, have started. We're talking about Alo Edifaroka, Kelly Loftus, and Crystal Luciano. Luciano has asserted herself as a realistic, viable option running that number 1 spot out on the court, while Alo Edifaroka, in less than a full campaign at the NCAA Division I level, has proven to be a formidable rebounder. Big things coming for the class of 2017. Guys, back over to you.
All right, Rich, thanks very much. Asia Jackson at the line for 2 shots. She was fouled on the shot by Hines before the timeout. First one is good. Checking in for the Cougars is 6'5", Michaela Hopkins. And Dan, as Rich was talking about, those 3 freshmen have started the last 4 games. The second shot is good. And the Pride finally getting a win on Sunday against UNCW. But individually speaking, all 3 of the players have really done well. Good defense from the Pride. They trap on Brown, but a foul is called on Jackson, just a little bit overzealous on the defense. That's her first, team's 8th. 23-17 to score, 2:42 to go. Brown will be at the line, shooting a 1-and-1. Brown, first shot is good. This is her second. That was her second attempt on the day from the free throw line. Second one, no good. Rebound pulled down by Epps, who also checks back into the game. And now it's Luciano taking it up, guarded by Brown, finds Epps on the wing, into Jackson on the near corner, and they dump it inside for Edifaroka. She's fouled by Hopkins, and Edifaroka will go to the line for 2 shots as the Pride are in the bonus. Edifaroka on the season from the free throw line, shooting 59%. First shot rattles off the back of the rim, then the front of the rim, and falls. Aaron Hall checks back in for Shannon Hines. Edifaroka, the 6'3" freshman from Warri, Nigeria, matched up with the 6'5" Michaela Hopkins. The second one is also good, and it's a 25-18 lead for Hofstra. They feature a full court press again. It's Tolbert breaking the press, getting it past Epps, but now finds Carter as they trap on the base on the sideline. Her pass from Tolbert is thrown into the hands of Asia Jackson at midcourt. Real good Pride defense in this first half. It's Luciano As we approach 2 minutes to go in the first half, Luciano slows things down a little bit. Finds Epps on the high post. Epps goes cross court for Carter. She can't come down with the pass. Not a smart play from the sophomore. And it'll be Charleston ball.
Some of the best Pride defense we've seen all season from this team. However, offensively, they're still turning the ball over a good amount. 13 turnovers so far just in his first half.
So it's Charleston ball. It's Hall in front of Coach Kilburn-Staveski at the Pride bench. She takes a jumper from the top of the key. They say it's a two-pointer. She had her foot on the line, and it's a 25-20 game, and the Pride left her wide open. Coach Kilburn-Staveski not happy there. It's Carter. Carter to Luciano in the far corner. Luciano's jumper won't go. Rebound pulled down by Tolbert on the weak side. It's Tolbert now pushing the pace. She gets past Epps, now meets Edifaroka. She throws up a layup, won't go. Edifaroka definitely altered that shot. She came down with the rebound. There was some contact there. It looks like they call a foul. 2 shots for Edifaroka down the other side of the floor. Bree Bolden's second foul. 1:25 to go. The Pride up by 5. And Dan, the Pride have done a really good job of getting to the free throw line to start this game. They've already taken 14 shots from the line, and they've hit 9 of them at 64%. Not a great number, but considering what they've done this season, it's an improvement. And I'm sure they worked on it in practice this week.
Listen, it hurt them during the Towson game, and against UNCW, the numbers were much better. They were 50% as Alo hits the first one. 50% at UNCW, but I was asking Coach Staveski earlier in the week about this, and she was mentioning that, she took some different drills, some that the men's team actually does here for the Hofstra Pride, to work on their free throw shooting, have a little more fun with it, because it is a mentality that they have to fix.
Kelly Loftus checks in for Epps. The second free throw from Edifaroka also good, so she's 4 for 4. And it's a 7-point Pride lead, which matches their largest lead of the game. As the Pride again, trapping Brown right in front of us. Brown gets past it though, and now it's Green has it and gives it to Brown at the top of the key, and now Brown will run the offense. Gives it to Hall in front of the Pride bench. Hall dumps it down inside to Tolbert. Tolbert's shot won't go. She's fouled on the shot. She'll take a couple of free throws. Foul was called on Alo Edifaroka. That's her second and the team's 9th. Afria Tolbert, one of the better players in this conference. She started in the SoCon before Charleston moved here. Her first free throw is good, 27-21. Averaging 14 points a game and 8 rebounds on the season. She stands at 5'10". She has the athleticism of a guard, but she can also play down low. She's a very versatile player, and Charleston has featured that today.
She also played for Northeastern here in the CAA, and Coach Staveski even recruited her.
And the rebound on the shot won't go, but it's falls to Hall. And now the Cougars, after an offensive board, will have it. Asia Jackson went for the steal, almost got it. And now they go down low to Hopkins. Hopkins finds Hall. Hall's jumper from inside the three-point line is good. A fall-away jumper hits. 27-23, 44 seconds to go in the first half. As now the Cougars feature a little bit of a full-court press, but they fall back. And now Asia Jackson will run the point with Luciano playing off the ball. It's Jackson at the Hofstra H, guarded by Tolbert. Tolbert with a much bigger height advantage. 28 seconds to go. She tried to find D. Thomas Palmer at the high post, and she just checked in for Edifaroka. The Pride turn it over. Hall takes the 3 from the corner in front of the Pride bench and hits. 27-26 with 16 seconds to go. The Pride not closing out this half very well. They'll have it for the final shot. It's Luciano guarded by Brown. Now to Thomas Palmer at the top of the key. Thomas Palmer tries to make her move. Instead gives to Jackson. Jackson drives the lane. They call a foul. It's an offensive foul on Asia Jackson with 4 seconds even to go. So the Cougars will have the ball for the final shot of the half. The Pride had 12 seconds to go. They don't get a shot off. Just a poor possession there for the Pride. Annie Payton will check back in for Asia Jackson as the Pride will feature a full court press. It's Tolbert inbounding. She finds Hopkins at center court. Hopkins, not what you want to have the inbound play. Hall takes a three-pointer from about 30 feet. It doesn't go. It hits nothing. And the Pride have a 1-point lead at half. They did not do a good job closing out that half. They had a 7-point lead, and now it's down to 1 as we await Coach Fossil Khan, assistant coach Fossil Khan, to be joined sideline with Rich DeCourt as they get set. But Dan, the Pride did not do a good job closing out that half, and now it looks like Rich is ready. So let's send over to there. It's Rich with Coach Kahn.
Over here now with assistant coach Faisal Khan at the half. You guys have a 27-26 lead in the first conference matchup against College of Charleston. What do you think of that first half?
Lots of wonderful energy. Lots of kids here, obviously cheering their butt off. We just couldn't put a distance between them and us. I think our largest lead was at 7. We had a couple of possessions at 7 where we could go 9, we could go 11, and we just haven't been able to extend it. Give College of Charleston some credit for rebounding. I think they're definitely very, very active on the offensive board, so we got to fix that.
Has communication been an issue today?
Our kids have been really, really good about being in huddles and echoing stuff, but as you can tell by the environment, it's very festive, and yeah, it's always an issue, but guess what? It's not just the talking part, it's who's listening, how close you are, eye contact, all those little things matter.
What do you guys need to do to come out with a W in the second half?
Well, start the second half. It's our ball coming out. Play 4 minutes at a time. Utilize this awesome energy, and I think we need to fix the rebounding issue, and we'll go about that.
Thanks for your time, guys. Back over to you.
All right, Rich. Thank you very much for that. Good stuff as always from Coach Kahn. And back here now at Press Road, Dan Savarino. I'm Josh Levin, and Dan. The Pride with a 7-point lead. You heard it from Coach Kahn. They did a poor job of closing out that half. That's a very important thing to look at in a basketball game. Before we send it back across Hempstead Turnpike to the studios for the halftime edition of the Locker Room with Mark Weiner and the guys, what's your thoughts on the first half, especially that last little minute or so when the College of Charleston really got off to a 6-0 run?
Well, listen, it's mental mistakes. You can't be making these mental mistakes. They're doing a good job defensively of really pressuring CFC so far and causing them to have already 10 turnovers in this game, a team that averages only 14 per game. So they're doing a good job of that on the defensive side of the ball, but you're giving them opportunities by making mental mistakes. Eye contact off, as Coach Kahn even said earlier before, mentioned by Annie Payton. Before one of the last possessions, would have been one of the last possessions, D. Thomas Palmer just wasn't looking. Those are mistakes you cannot make going into the second half, and that's why it's only a 1-point game instead of Hofstra being up even more.
All right, Dan, so we'll see in the second half what adjustments both teams make. Looked like the Pride had found something good and they were working well, but now it'll be a 1-point game when we return. Let's send it back now to the studios across Hempstead Turnpike for the halftime edition of the Locker Room. It's Mark Weiner and the guys. Take it away, Mark.
All right, thanks, Josh, to the Pride. They lead 27-26, but they didn't exactly close out the half well. We'll break it down. Stats, highlights, and analysis coming up in the halftime edition of the Locker Room.
Hofstra fans, get ready. The WRHU sports team brings you your preview for the weekend in Hofstra Pride Sports. Double Head.
Hi, this is Dig Olsen.
This is Maid Memich.
Janelle Bailo. Christina Hernandez.
We'll look at the upcoming slate for your favorite Pride teams.
Hofstra plays their style of game, and they play well. They play very smart soccer. They might be able to sneak one out here.
And give you an inside look from the minds of Hofstra's student athletes.
Father, he's got a love for the game, and he's been there with through thick and thin with me. It's took me to every game.
It's the Bullpen, every Friday night from 6 to 6:30, only on your home for Hofstra Pride Sports, 88.7 FM, WRHU.
Hi, this is Coach Krista Kilburn-Staveski of your Hofstra Pride women's basketball team, and you're listening to all the action live on Hofstra Pride Sports Network.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride women's basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
And a big welcome here inside the halftime edition of the Locker Room on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network, 88.7 FM, WRHU worldwide in high definition, WRHU.org. And how could we forget GoHofstra.com? Mark Weiner alongside Chris Buckley and Nick Velastro as Hofstra has a 27-26 lead over the College of Charleston Cougars, but College of Charleston went on a little bit of run at the end of the first half, in the last minute. What are your overall thoughts about this first half?
I think for a majority of that first 20 minutes, I was pretty confident in the way Hofstra was playing. They were in the game. If they were not leading, they were at least in the game. Annie Payton broke that really long 7-7 stalemate in the middle of the half with that big three-pointer to put Hofstra ahead, and I'm pretty sure they maintained that lead up until right now, where they still lead by a point. And Crystal Luciano played much better as the half wore on, better ball movement. She was aggressive. She has 7 points, and that last 2 minutes was not really indicative of the way that both teams played throughout that first half. For a majority of it, I would say that the Pride had the upper hand for sure, not just on the scoreboard, but just in the way that they played. I mean, College of Charleston shot 10 of 37 from the field, so really struggling with their shooting right now.
Hofstra did have the upper hand, but no team really wowed you in this first half. 27-26, and the fact that College of Charleston gets 6 points in the last minute plus. So you're talking about it. Both teams aren't really shooting the ball well. You mentioned how poorly CFC has been shooting from the field. So right now, it's two teams trying to get something going on, but you're not really seeing it so far in that first half, and it would make for an interesting second half.
Well, 6-0 run what the College of Charleston was on in the last minute 4 of the first half. Let's see how they got there. It was the College of Charleston and Hofstra's first ever matchup of all time, and just 8 seconds in, one of the three freshmen in the starting lineup, Alo Edifaroka, got Hofstra on the board.
Alo Edifaroka will take it for the Pride, and for the Cougars, it'll be Brianna Bolden, and the Pride win it. It's Crystal Luciano in the backcourt with a long pass for Anman Yuku. Unguarded, she throws up a layup, it won't go. Edifaroka comes down with the offensive board, and the putback is good. 2-0 Pride.
Then just a couple of minutes later, Alo would make it a 4-0 lead, so 4 straight points for Alo Edifaroka to begin the game. Christy Hewitt would make a 3 to make it 4-3. Then Anma Anyuku would hit a layup at 6-3, 6-5. It goes to after a Fry layup for the College of Charleston, and then College of Charleston would take their first lead from Brianna Bolden.
Now it's Bolden at the top of the key again. She drives inside, pulls up a floater from the left box, and it goes. 7-6, the Cougars lead the first time tonight, 15:40 to go.
Crystal Luciano would make a free throw to tie it at 7 between the Pride and the Cougars, but then Annie Payton checked into the game, and she wasn't wasting any time.
Ball's inbounded to Edifaroka in the corner, not what the Pride need to do there. She's lost in the corner. If you get her the ball, that's not her game. They go back inside to Edifaroka. Now to the corner for Payton. Her three-pointer is pure. 10-7 Pride lead, and that's what the Pride want from Annie Payton. Instant offense, and she's smiling after that one.
Annie Payton would make a free throw on the next possession to make it 11-7 Pride. Then Hewitt would make another layup, 11-9 in favor of the Pride. Crystal Luciano gets a layup, 14-9. Then it goes 14-11. A lot of back and forth action brings you to a couple of free throws made. It's 18-15, and then College of Charleston would make it a little closer.
Epps now drives right to Luciano in the corner. Now Luciano makes her move to the basket. She throws up a right-handed layup, rattles around and goes. The foul was called as well. She'll go to the line for one more. Crystal Luciano with a very nice start to this game. She's got 3 points with some good action from her. 13-9 Pride with 9:06 to go.
Excuse me, that was actually a Luciano layup and one. It was 13-9 Pride. She would make the and one. Then we'd go to 8. A lot of back and forth action. As I said before, it was 18-15. Tolbert would make a jump shot. It's 18-17, but then Crystal Luciano would widen the gap for the Pride.
Luciano, a wide open 3. It is good. Crystal Luciano continues the great start to her rookie season, continues to hit the 3 well, over 45% on the season.
Second big shot for Luciano in this game. She had 7 up until that point. And then Aza Jackson would make 2 free throws. It's 23-17. Then College of Charleston would make some free throws of their own. 23-18. We'd move on. Alo Edifaroka would hit a bunch of free throws, make it 27-20 eventually after College of Charleston hit a jump shot. 27-21 after some Tolbert free throws. Hall would make a jump shot at 27-23, and then it would be Hall once again to close the gap for the Cougars.
28 seconds to go. She tried to find D. Thomas Palmer at the high post, and she just checked in for Edifaroka. The Pride turn it over. Hall takes a 3 from the corner in front of the Pride bench and hits. 27-26 with 16 seconds to go. The Pride not closing out this half very well.
So Erin Hall with 5 points in the last minute of play in the first half, and Hofstra gets through halftime with a 1-point lead. It's 27-26 at the half, and as I bring back on my panelists, Chris Buckley and Nick Velastro, Hofstra was pretty much controlling this game until that last minute of the first half. They were letting them continue to stay close, but College of Charleston just kind of hit a bit of a hot streak at the end.
Too many Hofstra turnovers that we spoke about in the pregame edition of the locker room. It's the key to the Cougars' success, but it was the lackluster Charleston play throughout that first half, save the last 2 minutes, put those aside, that really allowed Hofstra to maintain a consistent lead, and then eventually Charleston storms back in those final, 120 seconds that puts them in the position that they're in right now. But it seemed like as we were listening to the game through a majority of those first 20 minutes, it seemed like Hofstra was really playing. I don't know if it was Hofstra playing as well, better than they have as of late, or if it was Charleston really just struggling a lot more than we really expected them to.
I think it's really Charleston struggling. Besides Hall in the final minute, you didn't really see anything from them in the first half. Tolbert has 5 points, but when you look over to Hofstra side, Luciano and Alo both leading the team in points for them. Alo with 8 points, 2 for 2 from the field. She's 100% from the line and from the field. While you're looking at Luciano, she's showing why she has great talent. And for Hofstra, you're trying to see, besides the sputtering in the first half, try and take it more into the second.
Get you some of the stats from the first half. 35% was what Hofstra shot from the field from the field in general, 7 for 20 from the field. College of Charleston only 10 for 37. A lot of those points coming in the late first half. As we mentioned, 22% is what College of Charleston shot from the on-the-arc. Hofstra was 2 for 5. Free throw percentage, 50% for College of Charleston, 69% for the Hofstra Pride. And Hofstra needs to limit the turnovers in the second half. They're winning the turnover battle, not in a good way though. 15-10, Hofstra has the lead in that, and rebounding, College of Charleston is leading that category, 24-19. And before we send it back for the second half of action, Chris, Nick, what are your locker room keys to the second half?
I was originally going to go with better ball control, care for the basketball, but you kind of just mentioned that, Mark, so I'm going to switch it up a bit. I'm going to say Anaman Yuku, just 2 points in that first half, 1 of 3 from the field, just 1 rebound. She has 2 fouls. I remember back to the game last week against UNCW. She struggled in the first half as well. I think she maybe had about 4 points. She came out in the second half, got that double-double, really turned things around in the second half. I look for her to have a much better second 20 minutes than the first 20.
I was going to go with Anyuku, but you take that point. I'm going to have something else. Watch the turnovers. It was my pet peeve in the first half. I'll make it again for the second half because this game is only 1-point game. CFC can easily turn this around if they get more turnovers.
So Hofstra has the lead 27-26 at half right now. We'll send it back across Hempstead Turnpike for the second half of action. Josh Levin, Dan Savarino, and Rich Shacourt will have all the second half action between the Pride and the Cougars. From Chris Buckley and Nick Velastro, I'm Mark Wiener. We'll be back after the game, but right now, Josh, take it away.
Hofstra fans, get ready. The WRHU sports team brings you your preview for the weekend in Hofstra Pride Sports. Double Pen every Friday night from 6 to 6:30, only on your home for Hofstra Pride Sports, 88.7 FM, WRHU.
Hey, this is Annie Payton, guard of your Hofstra Pride women's basketball team, and you're listening to all the action live on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride women's basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Welcome back to the Mack for the second half of action between the College of Charleston and the Hofstra Pride. Josh Levin, joined along by Dan Savarino, and the third member of our broadcast team is on the sidelines today. That's Rich DeCourt. The Pride, Dan, with a narrow 27-26 lead. It was 27-20 about a minute to go in that first half, and then suddenly College of Charleston made a 6-0 run to end the half. Some really bad basketball from the Pride in that last 60 seconds.
Hey, it all comes from the turnover because, listen, they're playing good defense, and when they're pressuring, they're doing a good job of pressuring, and that's what you want to see. The defense needs to be doing what they continue to do. However, when you look at what they're doing in the half court on the offense, it's not right. You have to be on the same page here, despite how loud this crowd can get or how loud things are. There were 1,500 screaming fans and screaming kids here. You need to have still smart basketball sense and make smart passes. D. Thomas Palmer, one of the last plays of that game, just wasn't looking. Bounce pass inside to her, she wasn't there. Annie Payton another time. Crystal looks over, Annie's back's turned. That can't happen. That needs to be corrected when you go into the second half. You already have 15 turnovers in the first, and if you want to end up coming out and winning this game, that needs to be corrected.
Also, Dan, positives for the Pride, there are some pretty good defense. We saw, probably as you mentioned, probably the best defense all season with some of the traps late in that first half along the baselines and the sidelines. But the play of Crystal Luciano, I mean, the freshman point guard from Puerto Rico has found her way into the starting lineup, and she's made the most of it.
It's her spot to pretty much keep right now. It really is, Josh, and she's doing such a good job of it. She's just sometimes some of her passes are a little bit too of that money pass, as Coach Savesky always mentions, and that needs to be corrected as we're going further into the second half and into the season throughout the CAA slate.
All right, Dan, so the second half just about to get set as the Pride breaking their huddle on the bench. The College of Charleston are already ready to go. It's the same starting five they had. Brown, Tolbert, Fry, and you're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on WRHU Hempstead. The same starting five for the Pride and for the Cougars. Alo Edifaroka with a jumper to start things off is good. About a 5-footer with a one-handed flick of the right hand, and it goes. So now it's Tolbert to Bolden in the corner. Bolden's jumper from inside the three-point line won't go. Rebound is fought for, falls out of bounds off of Alo Edifaroka. It's going to be Charleston ball. It's Fry inbounding it to Tolbert. She saves it from going out of bounds on the near sideline. Bolden to Brown to Hewitt as they swing it around. Hewitt from the far corner takes a jumper. It won't go. Anma Anyuku did a good job of boxing out Bolden, and she pulls down the board. Pride ball. Luciano taking it up. Luciano guarded by Brown. She gives to Loftus in the corner. Now Loftus dumps it off down low inside to Edifaroka. Edifaroka makes her move. A nifty pass to Anma Anyuku. She hits the layup. 31-26 Pride lead. And that was a really nice pass from Alo Edifaroka. The shot from Hewitt is no good. Rebound is pulled down by Jackson, and she'll push the pace. She kind of went around her body to find Anyuku, who went sort of backdoor, and the ball is fought for after some sloppy play. Kelly Loftus comes away with it. She takes a wide open corner three. She had all the time in the world, but the shot won't go. Rebound goes to the Cougars. And now it's Fry with a three-pointer of her own on the wing right in front of us on the near side. It's good. And it'll be a 31-29 score now after that one. 18-27 to go in the second half.
The 191st three-pointer from Melissa Fry. She's now second all-time in CFC's three-pointers made.
And now Anyuku with a three-pointer of her own from the top of the key is good. It's a 34-29 game now. So the two teams trading three-pointers there in that little sequence. It's Hewitt. Now to Fry. Fry takes a three-pointer from the wing. It won't go. Rebound tipped away into the hands of Tolbert. Her shot won't go. And now Edifaroka comes away with it, but it's taken away by Tolbert. And now it's Bolden takes a jumper. Rebound goes to Edifaroka. She goes out wide with the elbows to protect herself, and it's Pride ball. Now Loftus leaks out, gets the ball on a long pass. Her layup won't go. I think that's 3 layups today that she's missed already. And it's Charleston ball. It's Tolbert in the front court. Tolbert takes a jumper, goes off the back of the rim. Won't go. Rebound goes to Anma Anyuku. She falls out of bounds. Looked like she was pushed. And they will say she wasn't pushed, but it'll be Pride ball. As Bolden will sub out for Hall. And it's Pride ball. The Pride now working from right to left. It's Luciano. At the 8, she brings it past half court. At the top of the key, gives to Anyuku. Anyuku takes her second three-pointer. She knew it was no good. The second she released it, she ran to go chase after it. It was an air ball that went all the way out of bounds, so it's Cougar ball. 17-15 to go in the game. The Pride in a full court press again. The Cougars break it. It's Brown at the top of the key to Fry. Fry fakes the three-pointer, drives inside on Luciano, throws up a layup, won't go. No some contact, but no foul called. It's Asa Jackson now. Jackson tried to find Luciano for a layup. Pass goes off Luciano, and now it's Brown pushing to Fry. Fry, scoop shot after some good defense from Edifaroka. Rebound goes to the Cougars. Tolbert goes up with a layup. It won't go. Rebound fought for and won by Tolbert. Tolbert with a bounce pass to Bolden underneath the basket. Back up top to Fry. Fry's three-pointer won't go. She gets her own rebound, throws up a shot, and is fouled. An ugly sequence there, Dan, but it turns into a shooting foul on the Pride. It's on Anma Anyuku. That's her third, team's first, and it'll be two free throws for Fry.
Ayo in foul trouble in the first half that made her sit out for some time, and now an early foul here only 4 minutes into the second half. But you got to look at the play of Alo Edifaroka. Try hits the first one. Alo already with a career high 10 points. She has 8 rebounds, 2 away from her first career double-double, and she has been so effective on the defensive glass and on the offensive glass so far in this ballgame.
Anyuku and Loftus out, Carter and Epps in, and you see for the Cougars, they bring in the 6'5" Maggie Hopkins because for Tolbert, I would guess because of the height advantage of Edifaroka, she's dominated them, as you just said. They need to match up with her better, so they bring in their 6'5" center. It's Luciano giving to Jackson. Jackson dumps inside for Edifaroka. Edifaroka with a nice post move but can't get the shot to fall, and the rebound goes to the Cougars. It's Hall. Her pass is tipped and taken by Jackson. Jackson has really played well defensively today. She's tipped a lot of passes. That time she comes away with a steal. That's her second of the day. She's given them good minutes, 19 of them to be exact. It's the Pride having it now. It's Luciano in front of the bench. Luciano drives towards the free throw line, gives to Edifaroka, and she hits the jumper from the free throw line. It's a 5-point game. Now it's Hall with a quick three-pointer, and she hits. They call it a 2, foot just on the line. 36-33 Pride lead as the pace has picked up a little bit and the shots are starting to fall for both teams. It's Luciano to the high post on the right side for Edifaroka. Now to Carter. Epps takes a 3 on the left side of the wing. Her shot off back iron. Rebound goes to Edifaroka over the 6'5" Hopkins. And now Carter has it and gives to Luciano at the top of the key to reset the offense. Luciano has it taken away by Brown. Brown saves it from going out of bounds, and Hopkins comes away with it. Hopkins kind of just lumbers up and down the floor, not very fleet of foot. And they call an offensive foul on Hewitt. She spun on Luciano, knocked Luciano right on the ground. Luciano slow to get up. Looks like she might have some sort of cramp on her leg as Sydney Epps is trying to play with her toes a little bit. We'll take a break. The Pride lead by 3. It's 36-33 with 15:05 to go. You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on 88.7 FM WRHU.
WRHU is your home for all things Hofstra sports. We bring you complete coverage of all 17 Pride teams. From the four corners of the country,
here in Spokane, Washington,
here in Los Angeles, from Tampa, Florida,
in Boston,
to right here in Hempstead,
with you at the Mack Sports Complex,
at University Field,
here at James M. Stewart Stadium,
and everywhere in between.
From the KFC Yum Center,
welcome to James Naismith Court,
from the Cancun Challenge in Mexico.
For complete game schedules and more information, check out WRHU.org and follow us on Twitter at WRHU Sports.
WRHU FM is your flagship radio station for New York Islanders hockey. Hear all of the exciting action of every New York Islanders game live on WRHU FM. Remember, your radio home for New York Islanders hockey is WRHU FM Radio Hofstra University.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Welcome back to the Mack. The Pride leading the College of Charleston Cougars 36-33. Let's shoot sideline to the third member of our broadcast team, Rich DeCourt, just inside the Hofstra huddle during that timeout. Rich? All right, sorry for the technical difficulties there. We'll take it back here now, and Josh Levin joined by Dan Savarino. Dan, the Pride with a 3-point lead. Crystal Luciano took a hard fall during the last sequence before the timeout. She was slow to get up. Her teammates helped her up, but she'll take a seat on the bench. Doesn't look like it's too serious. Not even really limping at all. And it's a problem with her left foot, maybe an ankle, or excuse me, her right foot, maybe an ankle injury, or an ankle issue, I should say. Asia Jackson running the point now. Annie Payton checks in. Ruth Sherrill as well. Her jumper from the free throw line won't go. Epps pulls down the offensive board. Charleston looking for a travel. Coach Kilburn Staveski wisely uses a timeout that time. That's her first timeout of the half, or second timeout of the half. Uses it widely as Epps was trapped by 3 players underneath the basket. There was nowhere for her to go, so she wisely calls the timeout, and now she'll draw something up. But Dan, Crystal Luciano on the bench. Again, doesn't look serious because she's not really being looked at by the trainer at all. Probably just getting a breather. But the Pride, if she's hurt, they nearly avoided disaster with her if she's okay to come back.
They've brought a couple different players with the absence of Andreana Thomas for a violation of team rules. Since then, I mean, Crystal has been starting at the point guard position, but you also do see Asia Jackson end up running the point when Crystal is on the bench. Annie Payton has done the same at times. So you do have depth back there, but nobody who really has the speed and really the vision that Crystal Luciano does have on this floor. So it would be a serious thing if she is, but she was smiling before, so it didn't look anything too bad. She's just stretching it out. I feel she will be back in this ballgame.
Probably a cramp. Again, we can't really speculate, but the fact that she was smiling and looked like she was just bending her foot to sort of get it loose looks like maybe probably a cramp. She's not even getting looked at by the trainer. The trainer's not even talking to her. He's talking to Annie Payton. So she's probably good to go. But Dan, Asia Jackson has run the point at times since Luciano has taken over the role of starting point guard. She did a pretty good job on Sunday against UNCW. She's done a decent job today, but she's not a true one. As you mentioned, they don't have anybody like Luciano with the vision and the speed. Jackson would do a good job in spurts running the point, but she's really more of a two guard at this point. They want her for her shooting more than her distributing. So the Pride will go to Jackson now to play point for a few minutes, but Luciano probably will check back into this game as she's fine on the bench. So it's Carter and now Jackson at the top of the key, guarded by a Charleston player who just checked in. It's number 10, Brianna Davis-Bloom, her first minutes of the game coming now. Asia Jackson at the top of the key, guarded by Davis-Bloom. Gives to Carter on the wing. Now Carter finds Epps in the corner, wide open. Her three-pointer off the rim, no good. Rebound, fought for. Epps came all the way back, followed her shot to try to get the board. They call a foul on her. That's her second, the team's second. So she'll come out of the game. Anma Onyuka, who has 3 fouls, will check back in. Davis-Bloom briefly in. She goes out. And Hall and Hopkins back in for Charleston. It's Brown on the wing in front of her own bench. Back to Hall at the top of the key. Now Tolbert. Tolbert drives left on Onyuku. Throws up a layup. It's good. Fry has struggled today with her shot. That time hits. Narrows it to a 36-35 game. And Asia Jackson running the point. Gets a screen from Onyuku. Drives inside. Now Carter to Onyuku at the top of the key. Back to Jackson on the wing. She drives to her left and gives to Carter. Now Carter comes across to the right at the foul line. Gives to Jackson. Jackson thought about a long three. Thinks better of it and pulls it back out to call a play. 8 seconds on the shot clock. She drives inside, throws up a shot at 5, and she is fouled. So she'll go to the line for a couple of free throws. Asia Jackson at the line today. She's done a good job getting there. For the game, she's taken 4 free throws. She's hit all of them. The foul was called on Tolbert. That's her second. Jackson will shoot 2. The first one, no good, rattled out, and the second one upcoming.
And Josh, 11 for 17 now from the charity stripe. Obviously, much better numbers. You're closer to 70% than the 50% against Towson, and then the 52% against Towson, then 50% against UNCW. She hits the second one.
So the Pride ahead by 2 with 13:40 to go. It's Brown breaking the press at the top of the key to Tolbert. Now Tolbert dribbles a couple times to her right, gives off to Fry. Fry's three-pointer is good. She took a few today. She finally hits. And the College of Charleston ahead, 38-37. They've got their first lead since early in that first half. And now Asia Jackson nearly turns it over. Alexis Carter had to come back and get the pass as it was rolling towards the baseline. Crystal Luciano is going to check back in, but she's definitely favoring that right leg. Asia Jackson calls out a play near the Hofstra H, guarded by Brown. She gets a screen from Sherrill and now gives it to Onyuku at the top of the key. Onyuku drives. Her shot won't go on the right side of the lane. A foul is called. It was on Ruth Sherrill. That's her first, team's third. Luciano will check back in for Asia Jackson, so Luciano's okay. She was out for just a couple minutes.
She still is favoring that left ankle, or excuse me, the right leg that she has, but we'll see how much Adams' explosive movement she's still able to use, unlike what she usually does earlier with her speed. So I don't think she's going to be as explosive going towards the hoop as she has earlier in this game.
So Jazz Green checks back into the game for Fry, and she has it at the top of the key. Now gives to Hall. Hall takes about a 25-footer, and it's good. Nothing but net. That was just unlimited range from Hall. It's a 41-37 game, and the College of Charleston has come back with a couple of three-pointers. Now Peyton takes one, and she hits it. It was a line drive shot that probably wouldn't have gone in if she takes that 10 times, but it does that time, and it's a one-point game now. Now it's Green in the corner. Green to Tolbert at the top of the key, guarded by Peyton. Now to Brown. Now Brown to Green. Brown at the top of the key as they swing it around to Tolbert. Tolbert on the near side. Her three-pointer from the wing, no good. Green comes down with the board. She's fouled as she was hit hard on her way down. Foul is on Anma Anyuku. That's her fourth, so she's going to have to go to the bench. Sydney Epps comes back in, and Dan, that's going to be a big issue for the Pride. Still 12 minutes to go. Anma Anyuku with 4 fouls. The Cougars will inbound. It's Tolbert. Makes her move on Edifaroka. She can't get it to go. Hopkins pulls away with an offensive board. She goes up with it, and it doesn't fall. But Brown comes away with an offensive board, and she resets the offense for the Cougars. Now it's Tolbert on the left wing. To Hall at the top of the key. Another long three-point shot. This time it's an air ball, and it'll be Hofstra ball when we return. The College of Charleston leads 41-40 with 11:54 to go. You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on 88.7 FM WRHU.
You can listen to WRHU anywhere in the world on your smartphone. The free WRHU iPhone app is available at the App Store. The free WRHU Android app is available on Google Play. Now you can listen to WRHU anywhere in the world, and it's free. The way people listen to radio in the 21st century.
WRHU mobile app.
Long Island's largest radio news team brings you the Associated Press award-winning program Newsline. Weekdays at 5:30 p.m. A half hour of local news by award-winning Hofstra student broadcasters. Exclusively on WRHU-FM and WRHU.org Radio Hofstra University.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Hofstra University. Hofstra trailing the College of Charleston 41-40. Let's go again to our third member of our broadcast team, Rich DeCourt, with more from the Hofstra Huddle. Rich?
Well, Hofstra basketball when we come back. So Krista Kilburn-Staveski preaching to her team to move the ball around the arc, cycle the ball around, see if they can't get an open look. They're going to run some diagram plays coming out of this whistle. Should be interesting to see what happens. Back to you guys.
All right, Rich, thanks for that. And Dan, that's what the Pride need to do. They need to move the ball, try to find an open man. If you move the ball enough, you figure you find somebody open, and Pride will inbound underneath the basket. It'll be Sydney Epps as the Pride move from right to left. She inbounds it to Edifaroka and then gives it right back to Epps because Edifaroka is not going to take the ball up the court. Epps does and gives it to Peyton. Now finds Luciano on the sideline. Luciano will bring it back out to the top of the key. Doesn't look like the ankle's really affecting her there. She was dribbling in circles. Now gives it to Edifaroka on the high post. Back to Jackson. Jackson off a screen, drives to the lane. Her shot won't go. Rebound pulled down by Edifaroka. She's fouled as she went up with it, so she'll go to the line for a couple of shots. Foul on Charleston. It'll be their Bree Bolden. It'll be her third and team's third. Edifaroka back to the free throw line. She's already taken 5 shots from the charity stripe today, hitting on 4 of them. First one from the freshman is good. She continues her outstanding game now with a double-double. She's got 13 points and 10 boards, along with 4 assists. And Edifaroka's second shot is good, so the Pride back ahead by 1, 42-41. The fact, Dan, that she has 4 assists, might be the most amazing thing about her game today, as a foul is called on Annie Payton, was probably a hand check on Brown in the backcourt as the Pride were in a full court press again. So that's the team's 5th. That's her 2nd. Afria Tolbert inbounds in front of Kilburn Staveski to Brown, and now Brown, after some passes, has it back in the front court. The Pride again in a 2-3 zone. It's Fry on the right wing, back to Bolden. Bolden into the left corner for Brown. Now Brown will work her way towards the arc again. To Fry. Fry, a 3-pointer from the wing. No good. Rebound fought for and pulled down by Etta Faroka. It's a mad scramble on the floor between her and Bolden. And let's see the call here. Fry was also involved on the play. Fry limping a little bit as she gets up. It's Pride ball. I'm not sure if they called it a jump. It's out of bounds on Charleston, so it's Hofstra ball. So the possession arrow, if you're interested in that, is still facing College of Charleston, so it doesn't change there. Luciano with a long pass to Payton to break the pass. Payton drives inside, throws up an underhanded layup. It won't go. She saves it from going out of bounds, gets it to Jackson. Jackson with a long, dangerous cross-court pass to Luciano in front of the bench, and she gets it, though, and now waits for a play to be called as she stands at the H. She finds her play from her coaching staff, and now goes to Etta Faroka on the high post. Etta Faroka goes cross-court, or looked for Jackson anyway, and it was stolen by Bolden. Bolden averages 2 steals a game. That's her 2nd one today. Hall takes a 3 after a pass from Brown. It won't go from the wing. Tolbert fighting for the board with 3 Pride players, and Payton comes away with it, and she'll push the pace. Crossover dribble, finds Luciano underneath the basket. Luciano couldn't come away with it, and Dan, we've seen it today a couple of times. The pace is just too much at times for both teams, really.
Yeah, and it starts on the offensive glass because the Cougars are so strong on the offensive board so far. They have 18 so far in this game compared to Hofstra's 25 defensive rebounds. Those numbers are way too close, but you go the other way even when you get possession. And the passes, nobody's on the same page. The eye contact between the two have not been there throughout this entire game.
They go down low for Hopkins. Hopkins doesn't seem to feature much of an offensive game, and she gives it back out to Tolbert. Tolbert drives the lane, throws up a shot, won't go. Rebound to Hopkins. Hopkins throws it back up and in. 43-42. Charleston leads. Hopkins didn't even go airborne on that shot. She just flicked it up at the rim. She's 6'5". Now they go inside to Etta Faroka. Etta Faroka takes a jumper from the foul line. Hopkins got in the way of that shot. She didn't tip it, but she definitely changed it and altered it, and it was an air ball. Now Charleston will come down with it. It's Tolbert taking a 2-pointer. Her shot won't go. Hopkins comes down with the board. She was pulled on her arm by Etta Faroka. That'll be Etta Faroka's 3rd and the team's 6th, excuse me. Alexis Carter will check in for Annie Payton. Sydney Epps will check in for Crystal Luciano. So Asia Jackson will go back to running the point. Loftus also checked back in to the game after that last timeout. They go inside for Hopkins. Hopkins on the inbound hits the little 2-handed jumper, and she's fouled by Etta Faroka, so she'll go to the line for one more. 45-42. Charleston leads, at least for the moment, with 9:25 to go. Rusharil will check in for Etta Faroka. That's Etta Faroka's 2nd foul in about 20 seconds, and that's her 4th. So she's in foul trouble. Alma Anyuku's in foul trouble. So how the Pride navigate the rest of this way will be interesting. Hopkins' free throw is good. She converts the conventional 3-point play. 46-42 the score. It's Asia Jackson at the H, guarded by Brown, and she'll call a timeout. Well, Kilburn Silvesky will call a timeout after this one has sort of gotten away from the Pride a little bit, Dan.
Yeah, it's a lot of it comes from the turnover numbers. You know, we were mentioning it back in the first half. You need to watch out. You need to play smart basketball in the second half, and that's how this lead has vanished. It really is. That is the main reason why they're trailing in this game instead of leading now. On top of that, 2 of your best players, or at least your strongest players in this game, Alo Etta Faroka and Anma Anyuku, have to sit on the bench because of foul trouble. So that is a situation that you really need to look out for. With Alo and AO both at 4 fouls, with such a tight game coming down to the wire, that's going to be a serious situation going forward. But since Michaela Hopkins has stepped into this game, at least in the second half, she's done a good job of really grabbing those offensive boards even more so and disrupting Alo a little bit. Not as much, because we've been seeing a very, very strong game from Alo, but she has been disrupting her play in the last couple of minutes.
And Coach Adair for the Cougars takes Hopkins out of the game now that Ediforoka's on the bench. A good matchup there from Adair. Rusharil takes a hook shot or tries one. Goes out of bounds off of Hewitt, who checked in for Hopkins, and she's hurt.
She might have either
jammed the finger is my guess.
I don't know. I think she might have broken it, because that's a lot of pain for a jam. The ball got her on the hook shot, attempted hook shot by Ruth Sherrill.
It's her left hand that's hurting. It's either her wrist or her finger. Can't quite tell from here, but Hopkins will check back in, and she's immediately going down to the end of the bench with the trainer to see what's going on. Well, they go inside from Loftus to Sherrill. Sherrill's shot is blocked by Hopkins, and it goes out of bounds off of the Pride, and it'll be Charleston ball. Hopkins has really changed the game since she's checked in.
This is the thing that's interesting about Hofstra. They run 3 different players down low: D. Thomas Palmer, Ruth Sherrill, and Alo Ediforoka. And it seems like every night each one does something better than the other.
Bolden's pass was sloppy and finds its way to Tolbert. Now Hall in the corner, wide open three-pointer, off back rim, no good. Bolden pulls down the board, and she brings it back out to Brown. Now Tolbert at the top of the key. Tolbert throws up a shot. It goes. She's fouled by Jackson. She'll go to the line for one more. The Cougars up by 6. This is their largest lead of the game, and they could extend it to 7 with a free throw from Tolbert here. Tolbert got off to a rough start. Still not looking too good statistically. She's 4 of 18 from the floor. She does have 9 points, however. And Fry will check back in for Bolden. Fry, the lone player to be honored before the season by the conference, second team All-CAA selection preseason. Tolbert's free throw was good. So it is a 7-point game, 49-42 with 8:40 to go in the second half. Asia Jackson now running the point. Jackson gets a screen from Sherrill to break the press in the backcourt, and now she has it in the front court, guarded by Brown. Jackson drives inside. She got past her man, lost the ball. She recovers it, throws up a shot. It won't go. Hofstra pulls down the board, and now it gets its way to Loftus. Loftus finds Jackson with a short jumper from the far corner, and it won't go. Rebound goes to Hopkins and the Cougars. Now the Cougars push. It's Tolbert. Tolbert backs down on Carter, and now it's Brown with a jumper. It won't go. She was wide open. The Pride are just being pretty much taken apart, ripped apart defensively now. They got off to a good defensive start. The ball went out of bounds. It'll be Cougar ball. They got off to a good start defensively in that first half, but since things have changed in the second half for them, the Cougars have really just had their way with them for the most part on the offensive end.
21 offensive rebounds compared to Hofstra's 25 defensive rebounds.
It's hard to win that way, and now it's Fry at the top of the key, guarded by Loftus. The Pride have gone man-to-man now. It's Tolbert. Tolbert drives inside on Carter. Carter gets help defense from Jackson, but she's fouled. They call it on Carter. That's her first, and the team's 8th. We'll take a timeout. The Pride need a timeout with the way things are going here. They trail by 7, 49-42 with 7:46 to go. You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on 88.7 FM, WRHU.
Hofstra fans, get ready. The WRHU sports team brings you your preview for the weekend in Hofstra Pride Sports. Double Pen every Friday night from 6 to 6:30, only on your home for Hofstra Pride Sports, 88.7 FM, WRHU.
Islanders fans have an edge. Islanders Edge, the weekly half-hour magazine radio show dedicated to all things Islanders. All things Islanders. Exclusive interviews with players, candid comments from the coach, breaking news, up-to-the-minute stats, and much, much more. Everyone loves an edge. Now you have it. Islanders Edge. Friday nights at 6:30, exclusively on the flagship radio station for your New York Islanders, 88.7 FM, Radio Hofstra University.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and GoHofstra.com.
Back at the Mack, Josh Levin and Dan Savarino, the Pride trailing by 7. It's 49-42. It's 7:46 to go. Let's go to the third member of our broadcast team with more from the Hofstra Huddle. Rich DeCourt Let's go to you, Rich.
Guys, Anma Anyuku is very vocal in the Hofstra huddle right now, yelling out, they are the aggressors. They're getting the calls. We need to get aggressive. That's probably the mantra for Hofstra right now, is get the aggression back. Right now, the current momentum swing definitely hanging with the College of Charleston. You can feel it down here on the floor. Anma Anyuku couldn't have said it any better. Got to get more aggressive. Guys, back over to you.
All right, Rich, thanks for that. And the Pride definitely need to be more aggressive offensively. They're not making the smart plays. They're being maybe a little too aggressive at times. They need to find that balance. And Anma Anyuku, the senior, leading in the huddle. She can't lead on the floor right now. She's in foul trouble with 4. So she'll have to do a lot of coaching from the bench rather than coaching on the floor. Tolbert was fouled before the timeout. She'll shoot 2 free throws. D. Thomas Palmer into the game. Epps, Carter, and Jackson on the bench. Loftus, Luciano join Thomas Palmer back into the game. Tolbert's first free throw, no good.
Hofstra's last field goal made was just about 5 minutes ago. At the 12:38 mark, a three-pointer from Annie Payton.
Second shot is good, so it's now an 8-point game. Thomas Palmer inbounds it to Loftus. Loftus will bring it up for the Pride. Guarded by Hall. And Hall immediately forces a jump ball, possession arrow facing the Cougars. Coach Natasha Adair loves it on the Charleston sideline. And Cougars will inbound now. Asia Jackson will check in for Luciano. Luciano puts her head down as she sees that she's being subbed out for. Doesn't get a lot of action in that little sequence there. So Brown gives to Tolbert, now into the wing for Hall. Hall to Fry. Fry had an open shot. She elects not to take it and drives inside to the corner now and gives to Hall. Hall, one dribble to her left, throws up a shot, won't go. Rebound comes down to Jackson, and she has Payton all by herself in the front court. Payton now drives, gets the layup to fall. Hofstra needed that basket, gets it to a 6-point game with 7:15 to go. And Brown now controls for the Cougars at the top of the key.
Sorry, Josh, you said that a 9-0 run over the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Definitely needed a basket there as time starting to tick, and a foul is called on Payton as Hall drove baseline towards the basket. Another hand check foul on Payton. She didn't like the call. That's her third and the team's 10th, and they're in the double bonus now for the rest of the game. So any foul for the final 7 minutes of this game is going to result in Cougar free throws. And for the Pride, not an advantage for them at all whatsoever.
On top of having 2 of your strongest players tonight in foul trouble, both with 4 fouls, in Alo and Anma Anyuku, as the first one is hit by Aaron Hall to make it a 51-44 game. But Josh, this is getting a little out of hand as of recent. 21 turnovers for the Hofstra Pride so far now at this point in the game with still 7 minutes left. They average about 18 per game.
For the Pride, it's been a struggle on both ends of the floor in this second half. Asia Jackson runs the point, finds Sherrill. Now back to the top of the key for Payton. Her three-pointer won't go. Sherrill pulls down the O board. She goes back up with it and hits. So it's 52-46 Pride, Cougars, excuse me. And the Pride starting to trying to chip away at this lead. Now it's Tolbert driving on Thomas Palmer. Thomas Palmer doesn't have the quickness to stay with Tolbert, and she shows it as she hits the bank shot. It's 54-46 now, an 8-point game again.
When Dee first came into this game in the first half, she was strong defensively but struggled on the offensive side. Now it's been both.
Thomas Palmer has it at the top of the key. Down low to Sherrill. Sherrill spin move, throws up a righty hook shot. It's good. She's really showed some good maturity this year on the offensive end. She's turned herself into a bit of an offensive threat. It's a 6-point game, 54-48, with 6 minutes to go. It's Brown in the corner off a pass from Tolbert. Now to Hall, back to Tolbert in the corner. Corner three from Tolbert is good. They call it a 2-foot on the line. 56-48. And the Pride now need to get stops. They can't trade baskets. They can't afford that. They have to get some stops on the defensive end. It's Payton on the near wing. She drives to her right inside, throws up a layup, rattles around, and good. 56-50 the score, 5:30 to go. It's Tolbert to Brown at the top of the key, guarded by Jackson. The Pride go man-to-man now after being in a 2-3 zone for most of the first half, or for the entire first half. It's Hall swinging off an off-ball screen, has the pass taken by Payton, and now Payton pushes the break. Payton tries to get fancy, go behind the back with a crossover dribble, but she doesn't recover, and now it's a fast break for the Cougars. Fry goes up with a layup. She's fouled by Thomas Palmer underneath the basket. She'll go to the line for 2 shots. 5:08 to go. Fry to the line for a couple. Have a chance to get it back to an 8-point game with just over 5 to go.
Well, Annie Payton the last couple of minutes, as well as Ruth Sherrill, have done a good job, at least on the offensive side of the game, and at least in the half-court offense for this Hofstra Pride in transition as the first one rolls in, around, and out by Alyssa Fry. But
Pride caught a break there.
yeah, but the thing about Annie Payton, though, she's been a little bit undisciplined in the last couple of minutes. You know, she makes a good play to steal the ball, but she's not making the smart play to go the other way and pass it off instead of trying to be a little bit too fancy and go towards the basket.
So Fry will take her second attempt. This one is a swish, nothing but net. Timeout is called by Charleston, so both teams will head to the bench for a chat, and the Pride need a chat right now more than the Cougars do. They need to find a way to get stops defensively without fouling, and they need to find a way to the offense in the last couple minutes or so has been better. They've been finding better shots. They've been getting out in transition a little bit on a couple of turnovers from the Cougars, but for the Pride, defensively, it needs to pick up. It needs to get back to the level where it was in the first half, Dan.
You look at the Cougars and 13 turnovers by that team, and a lot of them were forced by the Hofstra Pride. But here in the foul situation, you can't double team and pressure players as much as you wanted to do before because you're going to get called for the foul. And with already a lower bench with Jaquel sitting, of course, being injured, and then 4 fouls from AO and from Aloetta Faroka, this gets very tricky towards the last couple of minutes.
Asia Jackson running the point. Luciano still on the bench. It's Jackson getting a play call from her bench and now gives to Sherrill at the high post on the left side. Finds Carter off a screen. Carter hits the easy layup. She wasn't defended at all that time. 57-52 the score. Now the Pride needs stops. It's Tolbert with a spin move into the paint. She carried, they say. And that's what the Pride wanted, to force turnovers there. They get one. And it's Hofstra ball with 4:43 to go.
That's what it was in the first half, Josh. This is what you need in the second half now. Sometimes a little bit of a lucky break, but you got to force them to make bad plays to turn over the basketball.
A lot of off-ball screens being sent. Freeze on Yuku to the top of the key. Now she drives inside, guarded toughly by Tolbert. Now it's Loftus driving inside, and Loftus with a turnover. And it is a turnover. It falls to Tolbert. Tolbert looks to her right, has a man, elects not to go there. Spin move on Jackson. Jackson blocked the shot. The Cougars wanted a foul, and let's see what happens here. There's a scramble for the ball on the floor. Looks like Asia Jackson and Hopkins were getting into it a little bit. And it's a foul on Hopkins. That's her second and the team's fourth. Cougars have done a real good job this half of not getting into any foul issues. Only 4 fouls with 4:17 to go.
Nor the turnovers, Josh. Only 4 turnovers in this second half. They had 10 in the first.
They don't turn the ball over. They average 15 a game thereabouts. And they've gotten back to that number, or close to it, after they've played a much better second half than they did in the first on both sides of the floor. Annie Payton checks back into the game for offense. She drives inside, and a foul is called on the shot attempt. She'll go to the line for a couple of shots. The foul was called on Tolbert. That's her third and the team's fifth. Payton will take a couple of free throws. Payton checked back into the game for D. Thomas Palmer. Hofstra offensively, they scored 27 points in the first half, 25 in the second. It's not been the issue. It's been the defense, as the first free throw is good. Dan, 31 points already surrendered in this half to Charleston, and there's still 4 minutes to go. That's really been the problem, but the Pride still in the game, down by 4, and this free throw could make it 3, and it does. 57-54 the score. Brown finds Fry in a long pass. Fry takes a three-pointer air ball, and Anyuku wisely just lets it roll out of bounds rather than picking it up and getting trapped on the side on the baseline. Hofstra ball when we come back. The Pride down by 3, 3:58 to go in the game. You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on 88.7 FM, WRHU.
Long Island's largest radio news team brings you the Associated Press award-winning program, Newsline. Weekdays at 5:30 p.m. A half hour of local news by award-winning Hofstra student broadcasters. Exclusively on WRHU-FM and WRHU.org, Radio Hofstra University.
Hey everyone, this is Joe Mihalik, head coach of your Hofstra Pride men's basketball team. Here's what's on tap this week.
Sunday, the Pride are down in Texas to take on SMU. Pre-game edition of The Locker Room is at 6:45, taking you to tip-off at 7. It's the Pride and the Mustangs. Sunday at 7, right here on WRHU. More information on Hofstra Pride Athletics can be found at gohofstra.com.
You're listening to Hofstra Pride Women's Basketball on the Hofstra Pride Sports Network on WRHU, WRHU.org, and gohofstra.com.
Welcome back to the Mack here on the campus of Hofstra University. A tightly contested CAA matchup between the Pride and the College of Charleston Cougars. Pride down by 3. Let's go to our third member of our broadcast team, Rich DeCourt, just inside the huddle of Hofstra moments ago. Rich?
Well, guys, the last time we checked into the Hofstra huddle during the break, the mantra was urgency, aggressiveness, aggressiveness, aggressiveness. Now when we take a listen into the huddle, a ton of clapping. You can barely hear what they're saying. There's energy. They're on their feet. Sydney Epps is chanting very vocal, "This is our time, this is our time." With less than 4 minutes to go, Hofstra definitely going to have to grind this one out against CFC. Guys, back over to you.
All right, Rich, thanks very much. Again, the Pride definitely going to have to grind it out. Josh Levin and Dan Severino back here on press row. Going to bring you the final 3:53 of this game. Asia Jackson running the point still for the Pride. It's Jackson moving her way towards the top of the key. Had a screen from Onyuku, decides not to take it. Jackson directing traffic, gets it to Carter at the top of the key. Carter to Peyton. Peyton, one dribble inside the three-point line, gives to Sherrill on the low block. Sherrill's shot is an air ball. It was a sort of a hook shot, a shot clock violation, as nobody realized. Anma Onyuku pulled down the air ball, went down onto the ground to dribble it and restart things. Didn't realize that the shot didn't hit the rim, and she had to go right up with it, so it's a turnover for the Pride, 30-second violation.
And a real mental mistake from the captain.
Definitely, you don't see that often from her. She's always very heady, very aware of the situation. It's Fry, top of the key three-pointer, undefended, won't go. Rebound pulled down by Tolbert. Tolbert's had a much bigger impact in the second half of this game. It's Fry, guarded by Carter. She gets a screen from Jasmine Carter, her teammate, elects not to take it. And now Hall has it at the top of the key, guarded by Onyuku. Onyuku had a screen set on her, and they switch. It was Tolbert who set it. Now it's Brown. Now at the top of the key, it's Fry. Fry's dribble stolen away by Jackson. Jackson was pushed out of bounds. It looked like they don't call a foul. She doesn't argue it. So it'll be Charleston ball the other way, going from left to right. Alo Edifaroka back into the game, is having a great game. She's in foul trouble, though. That's why she's been sitting for the last bunch of minutes. Ruth Sherrill back to the bench. It's Hall. Takes a jumper from the foul line. Off front rim, no good. Edifaroka blocks out on Carter to get the board. She pulls it down. That's her 11th. And now Asia Jackson will run things for the Pride offensively. Peyton, freed at the top of the key, had an open three, doesn't take it. She was too far away from the basket. Drives the lane, hits the layup on the far side of the lane, makes it a one-point game with just over 2 minutes to go, 2:10 to be exact, in the game.
Smart play there from Annie Peyton. Instead of taking the jumper where she didn't have the best look, drive inside, try and get contact, and go up and lay it with the right hand. And
now it's Hall on the wing. Back to Fry at the top of the key. A long three-pointer. That might have been from NBA range. She doesn't convert, and the rebound is pulled down by Anma Onyuku. And now Jackson will cross half court. Guarded in the man-to-man, finds Peyton. Peyton guarded by Fry. She takes a three-pointer. Off side rim, no good. She rushed it, and Coach Kilburn-Staveski just said to her, relax. There's plenty of time. It's Tolbert now on the wing. She drives inside on Edifaroka, throws up a shot, won't go. Jasmine Carter pulls down the O-board, goes right back up with it and hits the shot. It's 59-56. The College of Charleston back up by 3 with 1:18 to go. Coach Kilburn-Staveski calls a timeout. She wants to control this possession, and she wants to settle her players down.
Alo does a good job on the first one where she ends up making a good defensive play to give the shooter a bad stop, but Jasmine Carter coming out of nowhere. Nobody's boxing her out. Nobody's looking for that rebound. This team is so strong on the offensive glass. 23 O boards in this game. They only have 22 D boards. More offensive than defensive.
And that's going to win you games.
It's absolutely going to win you games. It's a rare number. You don't see it very often, but teams that do it know how to win ball games, and this is what they're doing. They're good on the offensive glass. We knew that. They were good on the defensive glass coming in, and it's a completely different game from the first and second, especially from the rebounding margin.
The best shot in basketball is the second shot, and the Cougars have taken advantage of that, and especially in the second half. They're first in the CAA in total rebounds per game at 44.5. Jackson still in the game running the point. We have to wonder now about Luciano's leg or foot. It's Jackson at the top of the key, finds Carter in the corner for three, won't go. Rebound fought for, pulled down by Onyuku. She grinded that one out, finds Alexis Carter, to turnaround jumper won't go. Alo Edifaroka grabs the board, her shot won't go. Ball goes out of bounds off the Pride. 55 seconds straight up to go. Charleston ball as they're up by 3. That's a killer possession down there for the Pride. They boxed out against a real good rebounding team, had plenty of second chance opportunities, and weren't able to hit any of them.
4 of them. Those are ones you have to hit. We just mentioned about the second shot in basketball being one of the best shots. You have to hit one of those if you want to win a ball game.
Alyssa Fry will take the ball up the floor for the Cougars. Very slow to run things down. 15 seconds on the shot clock, 37 on the game clock. It's Fry, still guarded by Peyton, to Tolbert at the top of the key. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Tolbert makes her move inside on Alexis Carter, goes up with it. They call a travel on Tolbert. Big-time defense from Alexis Carter to force the turnover. 59-56 to score. 29 seconds to go. Crystal Luciano will check back in. Charleston will call a timeout. And the Pride, 29 seconds to go, 29.1 seconds to go, catching a break there because the shot clock is turned off. So they have the option, and I'm sure they want to take it down by 3 to go for the final shot of the game.
This is where it gets tricky, though, because you're down by 3. You don't want to rush a three-pointer.
Right.
You don't in this game. Now, so far, shooting from beyond the arc, they're 29%. The defense, the Cougars, top 3 in the CAA. It's in three-point defense. So far for Hofstra, though, you have the looks. You know how to get the looks. You just have to make sure you make the smart look if you're going to end up trying to take this three-pointer. If not, you put up a quick 2, but with 10 fouls, this gets tricky. You don't want to have to maybe put up a quick 2 foul because you have 2 players on the floor who do have 4 fouls in this game.
They could elect to take a three-pointer if they get a good look, or they could go for a quick 2, which they have to make, and then try to foul, maybe force the ball into the hands of a bad free throw shooter and make things happen that way. It's Asia Jackson at the top of the key, takes the three-pointer. It won't go off the front rim, and the rebound goes to Tolbert, and now Hofstra has to foul. Luciano gives it on Brown. Brown will head to the line for 2 shots with 15 seconds to go straight up. They're down by 3 are the Pride. A free throw here would likely ice it in the grand scheme. They could elect to play the foul game. The Pride do have only 1 timeout left. If she hits both, the game would be a 5-point game. They would need a 3 for sure. Brown's first free throw is good. 60-56 the score. So Dan, if you're the Pride, you have to go for the quick 2 right now.
Yeah.
The second free throw is good, and they elect not to use the final timeout. Luciano, long pass to Jackson. Jackson will take a long 3, maybe from NBA range, won't go. Rebound, fought for, and saved by Edifaroka, but they say she was out of bounds before she deflected it back in. So Charleston ball there, up by 5, 61-56 the score, with 7.3 seconds to go. And Charleston will inbound. The Pride give the foul. Peyton does. So more free throws upcoming for Jillian Brown. And with 5.6 ticks left, this game is all but done. Free throws here definitely ices it.
You know, I'm going to be honest. I'm a little surprised Asia Jackson was the one to take 2 threes. The first one I thought was rushed by her. The second one was really rushes. Now she hits the first free throw. But for somebody who shoots only 20% career from beyond the arc, why are you letting her take that shot? Annie Payton's your best three-point shooter. You had more time on the clock. I don't know why they took such a quick three-pointer.
Shot doesn't go. Rebound goes to the Pride. Asia Jackson chucks up a 3 at the buzzer. It goes in. It will count, but it's not going to matter. 56 62-59 the final score. So it looks a little better. They lose by 3 instead of 6. But in the grand scheme of things, the buzzer beater from Jackson doesn't matter as the clock expires. So the Pride fall now to 1-3 on the season in CAA play. They lose a tough one here, 62-59 the final score. And Dan, I think what you were saying before that last shot was right. I think the way Luciano has shot the three-pointer this year, the way Amy Payton has sort of come on strong the last couple of games, that's probably the two players you want to take the shot, and neither of those players do. It's Asa Jackson with the final 2 three-pointers, as you mentioned, and Dan, that's not the offense that the Pride needed, probably not the wisest shot attempts there, but Coach Fossil Khan, Assistant Coach Khan, will come and join us now for the post-game interview, and Coach Khan just getting the headset on here. And Coach, first half, you had a 1-point lead at the break, and then in the second half, it looked like they really just took control of the game. They played the way they wanted to play, and they really did it with a lot of rebounding. Hopkins, the 6'5" center for them, sort of changed the game when they brought her in on Edifaroka.
Yeah, I thought rebounding and turnovers, those are like probably two of the biggest categories if you're going to just look at the stats. At one point, I think they had 21 offensive rebounds. I don't know what they ended up with, maybe 23, 25, something like that. Just extra opportunities. You get winded, you have to play defense a little bit longer. And then we kind of shot ourselves in the foot here. We had a few fast breaks, and we don't catch the darn basketball. Fumbling the ball away, turnovers, and those are all extra opportunities. You give them extra opportunities, you take away extra opportunities from yourself. And that ends up resulting in a 3-point loss on your home court.
Coach, big positive though, Alo Edifaroka, 14 points, 14 rebounds in this game. She had to sit, of course, because of foul trouble, but what did you like from her out there on the floor tonight?
She's competing every single day in practice. She's getting better. Her ability to catch the ball deep in the paint, deep in the post, and then being able to make a quick post move, rebounding the ball, keeping it high, being a very, very good verbal leader, even as a freshman post player. All those things are coming together. She's just a constant work in motion, and she's going to continue to get better. But this is a very, very tough one, and then we have a very good James Madison team coming in on Sunday.
And Coach, that's what I wanted to ask about. How do you put this tough one behind you and get ready for the team that was picked to win the conference in the preseason? How do you just block this out and prepare for the weekend?
Well, that's part of competition, right? You play a game, whether you win, whether you lose, whether you win or lose by a buzzer beater, whether you win or lose by plus or minus 20, you got to be able to put that aside and then move forward. Yeah, momentum is great, but next game, next play, respond, get after it. So hopefully we'll walk through some stuff tomorrow in practice and then get ready for the Dukes on Sunday afternoon at 2.
All right, Coach, thanks for the time. Tough one today, but once again, thank you very much for joining us here, and good luck on Sunday and getting prepared for that game, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Happy Friday.
All right. So there you have it, the Pride falling by a final of 62-59. The Pride fall to 6-9 overall in the season, 1-3 in the conference. The College of Charleston, in their first season in the CAA, improves to 9-7 overall and 2-1 in CAA play. So Dan, just want to get your initial impressions of the way things went in that second half. I guess now that it's over, you can take a step back and take a big picture look.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at just the numbers in general, especially with the turnover number, they only had 5 turnovers in that second half compared to 10 in the first half. That's a big difference in this game. They weren't able to pressure us enough in the second half, and they weren't able to hit their shots in the first one. They got lucky. To be honest, they got very lucky in that first half for a lot of missed opportunities by the Cougars, but they were playing smarter defense. Here they weren't, and plus the mental mistakes in the first half came back to bite them here in the second, and that's something that needs to be corrected, especially against Sunday, against the best team and arguably the best team, the team that really is a step above than everybody else in the James Madison Dukes. They let one slip away today. It's going to hurt them, obviously, more mentally, but you know what? You got to look at the positives. Alo has a strong game. You saw the first half you see the mistakes you can make, and then maybe come back here Sunday and upset the JMU Dukes.
And the way it looked from plain eyesight, statistically you would say that the Pride were destroyed on the glass. They only were out-rebounded by 4, but what killed them was the offensive boards, as Coach Khan mentioned and as we mentioned throughout. 23-13 was the offensive rebound total, obviously in favor of the Cougars, and that really did them in, especially in the second half. You heard Coach Khan say it, when they brought in Hopkins, the 6'5 center, it changed the way that the game was played because her height disrupted things down low. It took Edifaroka out of the game a little bit with some foul issues. And Dan, now the Pride fall to 1-3 in conference play. They got a really tough one on Sunday against probably the best team in the conference. Yeah. They were picked to be the best team in the conference before the season started. How do they bounce back? What do they have to work on tomorrow? Obviously, not going to be a full go practice with a game today and a game on Sunday, but what do they have to walk through and fix before that game on Sunday, because it's not going to be easy?
I mean, listen, you look at some of the numbers here, 9 second chance points. You get out-rebounded only by 4, but you give up 23 offensive rebounds. You get the points that you needed from the charity stripe tonight, but it didn't matter because the turnover number was too high. You turned the ball over 24 times. You're not going to win a basketball game if you turn the basketball over 24 times in the game. That needs to be corrected, and if a couple of less of those, and then, of course, you maybe grab 2-3 more offensive rebounds and able to put up maybe 2 or 3 more points, of course, obviously, second chance efforts, you end up winning this game at home. So it's that stuff that needs to be corrected. A lot of it is mental mistakes in the first half. You correct that going in. That's the only way you can say it is really, you look at those numbers, correct them. They should really hurt you when you see them. So just move on from it. It's really nothing you can say.
All right, so that'll do it from us here at the Mack. Thank you very much for making us a part of your Friday afternoon. Let's go back now across Hempstead Turnpike to our WRHU studios with Mark Wiener and the rest of the crew for the post-game edition of The Locker Room. Guys, it's all yours, and have a great one.
All right, thank you, Josh. So Hofstra falls 62-59 to the College of Charleston in their first ever meeting. Hofstra falling to 1-3 in